This episode is brought to you by Lone Wolf Paintball. They are an amazing online supplier and have been around since the beginning of the game as Michigan's premier paintball field and paintball supplier since 1987. They are rapidly expanding into the online retail space and supplying everything you need to be the best paintball player you can be. They have got it all. Head over to lonewolfpaintball.com and shop all of your favorite brands. And they also boast amazing customer service and will have this out to you with same-day shipping, which is amazing. It's always nice to know that your stuff is on its way immediately so you can start to use it that very next weekend of play. Check out their YouTube, Lone Wolf Paintball, and their Instagram @LoneWolfPB, and stay up to date with all of their deals and sales. Play the Game podcast is immensely honored to have them on board, and we cannot wait for you guys to check out lonewolfpaintball.com and become a part of their community. Today's episode of PTG is brought to you by the one and only Trans Labs that brought the world two amazing products. First off, Transfuse, which is a hydration multiplier, and most recently they just dropped Transcend, which is a nootropic energy formula. No matter what you use, when you choose Trans Labs, you are going to be boosted and you are going to be ready to charge the paintball field and win out there. With Transfuse, that is a premium rapid hydration multiplier and immunity fortifying formula scientifically designed to replenish you at the cellular level. And they use all natural ingredients in this product. We've got zinc, we've got vitamin B6, we've got vitamin C, sodium, potassium, choline, and it is an amazing way to make sure that you're hydrated and prepared to play top-level paintball. When it comes to Transcend, that is a premium nootropic energy formula designed to increase cognitive performance, elevate mood and clarity while supporting long-term brain health, and it's going to leave you feeling great with no crash or jitters. It's one of the only products in the nootropic space backed by research studies to ensure the formula is correct for optimal performance. It is more potent than anything on the market, and it will keep you charged and ready to win out there. I take 1 scoop, but if you're stimulant sensitive, take a half scoop, and if you want that LFG dose to launch to the moon, dump 2 scoops in your drink and you are going to be flying down that paintball field. Comes in 2 delicious flavors, Baja Blast and Skittles Candy for the Transcend. And for the Transfuse, they have 2 new flavors as well, Pineapple Express and Hawaiian Punched. So if you get a chance, head over to translabs.com. That's TRANZLABS.com. Use code PLAYTHEGAME and you'll get 10% off. If you subscribe to a monthly delivery service, you also get 10% off as well. So you could take advantage of 20% off on these products. Head over to translabs.com and give it a go.
What's going on, PTG fam? Thank you guys so much for tuning into the show. This episode, Marcello and Tyler, myself, speaking in the third person, that's strange, but the name of the episodes are Marcello and Mantis, so I kind of confused myself. Anyway, we're going to call it the PTG Show. This episode is the PTG Show with Marcello and Mantis. Boom, I like that. We do make some phone calls. We got some very special guests, Rob Bertuglia from New York Wrecking Crew, and everyone's favorite, Mike Hinman from San Diego Aftermath. He needs no introduction. He dropped in and dropped some bombs of knowledge, as always. So anyway, without further ado, we'll see you in the show.
That was an insane inside move by Marcello Margot. Great communication.
And the crowd starts chanting Harmon.
Great shot by all the guys, though. Tyler Harmon saved that game.
Came out with 2 wins. Marcello Margot was on fire.
What's going on, PTG Nation? We have the one, the only Marcello and Mantis show going on. We got the young Martian on the beat here. I hope you're doing good, brother. How's it going?
It's going great, Ty. Good to see you, brother.
Good to
feel
see
like
you.
It's been a while. We're like, oh, well, it's been since last week. But usually we talk a whole lot more. It seems like the last couple of weeks, I've been busy, the international travel and then kind of getting back into the swing of things. And
of course,
we didn't really talk too much this last week.
Yeah, we're both very busy,
sad,
running
dude.
around. I know.
Yeah, shit.
It is a little bit. But, we're both getting ready for the Philly NXL coming up right now.
There's also that too. I feel like usually when we're getting ready for the major events, we kind of stop talking a little bit.
Yeah,
like
we go into the zone.
It's like, yeah.
Straight up. Yep. And then, you know how it is. It's wartime. We're about to go at it here in Philly on the East Coast. and you guys were playing on the layout. Who did you guys have for practice this weekend?
We got to play San Diego Aftermath and had a
go.
fantastic practice with them. We did a 3-day. On Friday, we went out to Victory Paintball, and it was just us. We got to do a bunch of shots and really work on, just learning the field and trying to figure out different packages for shooting people off the break and what we wanted to do in that regard. And then Saturday and Sunday, we got to play against Aftermath, and we had a field to ourselves. It was just us. We ran a ton of points, got to see a ton of different looks. Aftermath looked good. They gave us a lot of good reps. And I like the field, man. It seems like a shooter's field.
It is. It is a shooter's field, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Shooters shoot, and they're going to be rewarded. They're going to be rewarded out there on this type of a field layout. It's just crazy. There's no off the break shots, which is really interesting.
Ay, mommy.
Yeah.
It's weird. Weird.
Yeah.
Just run. Head down and run. Full disclosure, we're just kidding. For all the listeners that take what we say very, very seriously, we want you to succeed on this layout. So do your drills, because there are some big shots everywhere.
Oh, yeah. There really are. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some 3-on-3s off the break, or like 4-on-4s,
Yeah, for sure.
It's just that kind of a field.
Because even the pocket is shootable. Even the pocket. So if you go to the, 2 back center, one to the Dorito side can, one to the snake side can, and one to that snake side small little mini brick, which would be a pocket play. That's as pocket as you can get, really.
Yeah.
2 of those spots are shootable. So, depending on your timing of the buzzer and, how quick you are off the gate, all that kind of stuff. Those spots are kind of shootable too. So pretty crazy. I do think the attackers that are creative and don't just run one route to a spot will actually be able to get wide. There are some different blind zones on each side that you can kind of block one of the shooters out, see where their lane is, if it's high or low, and then you can navigate around it. I was able to play the one on the Dorito side a bit, and I was able to have success running over there just by stopping in different spots and being able to, shoot back at the shooters and work my way in, right? But if you just run head down, that lane is there. You're getting clapped up.
Yeah. That is actually a huge talking point, because a lot of players, they trap themselves and they don't even realize it, right? There's a lot of ways that you can diversify yourself on a run with your route choices, and on something like this, you can get really creative. The Dorito side definitely is a little bit more shootable, it looks like, than the snake side. But there's shots everywhere, off the break, up the middle, to the wires, to the interiors. They're all over the place.
Mm-hmm. They're all over the place. That snake side can has such a big gap for any snake runner. The back center can shoot the snake runners. It's just a shooter's field. So I think you're going to see the teams with experience have a lot of success, just because it's going to go back to a lot of control. It's going to take teamwork and creativity to be able to get to the tapes. You're going to have to be able to win those 3-on-3 points. You're not going to just be able to fly to the 50 off the break and surprise people and get rewarded. I mean, you might see a little bit of it on the Dorito side. Maybe some people get away with it on Friday, but it's definitely going to tighten up, in my opinion. And, that does not mean that there won't be big moves and that there won't be, exciting points, but it's definitely going to be a more controlled field. I think,
that Dorito side can play so fast,
yes, if you get out there.
If you
get out there, it's
all the way to their side, essentially. And there's only a couple of spots, and if they're not playing those spots right, then you're going straight to T-Town to go to their side of the field.
T-Town, baby.
T-Town. And same with like the snake side. Whenever you have a ladder snake like that, you can crawl literally from one end of your field all the way to theirs. You really need to take advantage of that out there. Divisional, pro, doesn't matter. If you get in there and you're able to, know what's going on in front of you, take advantage and don't like stop and get shot. Make that whole entire bunker work for you and use it appropriately the way it's supposed to be played in those situations.
Yeah, absolutely. The snake side was interesting. I had one point where I was in their snake one. Like literally I was on Aftermath's complete side of the field. Obviously we shot that whole side and I was closing the game. And there was 2 players left on the Dorito side. I couldn't see them. You know,
That's right. Yeah.
I'm in their snake 1 and I can't see anybody, you know? So it was kind of frustrating. You get that far down and you don't get rewarded if the other team is playing tight on that side of the field. I had to kind of come back and try to like really dig for those shots. So it's just kind of telling that there will be probably 2 stories happening on the field. You know, you have to kind of have a even attack, because you could win all the way down the snake side, but maybe the other team just wins down the Dorito side. Your snake players weren't able to get those cross-field kills.
Yeah.
So yeah, really, really interesting. And, you know, I call it the gold mines over there in that snake. It's got that, you could crawl the tunnel. You got to put your helmet on, turn the light on, and just crawl the tunnel all the way down. Yeah, I'm curious to see, you know, how some of the top players, you know, you've got one of them on your team, Chad George. We just picked up Kyle, which is really exciting. Mouse.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how these players continue to unpack this snake. And if it ends up being really fast or more methodical, right? Like if you just try to get to the other team's side and wait to hear the other player and bunker them and then try to shoot somebody, or, you know, like what the cadence is over there. I think
so. What was it like?
Different ways.
Weekend 1, Kyle's back on the team. How was that?
Dude, amazing having Kyle back. I love Kyle. You love Kyle. We all love Kyle. He's one of our best friends. So, you know, it's so funny. It was weird, like looking at him there. I just kept thinking he wasn't on the team, you know, but it feels so comfortable having him there because he always comes out on off weekends and he's always around. You know, he's one of our best friends. And I'm like, you're on our team. We're teammates again, you know? So it's good, man. It's really good to have him back. I really want him to unlock the next level, dude. I think Kyle can be one of the best. You know, he has such a great skill set. He has all the experience. He's been in the game for a long time. He's been dominant for a long time, but like, I think there's something, you know, another level that he can unlock. I really do. And, I'm happy to see him do it. I mean, this team is probably the best team to be able to do that right now. You know, the old heads are just kind of instilling magic in everybody. So, you know, it's good to have him back and have that kind of weapon on the team, you know, really fast, obviously one of the most athletic players in the game. And he gives us a different pace on that side of the field. So, yeah, it was good, man. It was good to have him back. It was, you know, he looks good in his JT gear. And yeah, it felt, you know, it felt normal, felt right.
Yeah. Dude, Kyle's the man. Wish him much success out there. So you're saying he's like a young Goku who's about to like maybe go blonde. You know what I'm saying? Like you guys, you know what I'm saying? You guys do that.
Know, right before Champions Cup, we might have to pull it off.
Yep. Dude. Yeah, you guys are going to be full what is it? Dragon Ball Z Super Saiyan.
Dragon Ball Z Super Saiyan. How about you guys? Where did you guys practice?
We were out in Texas playing against X Factor out at X Factor Paintball Park. Thank you very much to everybody out there at X Factor who makes those practices happen. We had Thunder and we had obviously X Factor. It was a really fun weekend and we got a lot of sets in, a lot of different looks from all the guys. It's great to see Thunder. Like I played on the Naughty Dogs way, you know, early in my career, so they still have some of the OG Naughty Dogs on that squad. It's always good to see them out there playing paintball and having fun. And it was a really, really great weekend. It was hot, which is good conditioning. We got to run a lot of sets. Friday, we did, you know, more drill type stuff. And then Saturday, Sunday, played just a ton of games.
Awesome. Yeah. I think we're going to practice X Factor on Thursday at the event. Excited to see how they play the field again. You know, another one of the elite snake players in Billy. Yeah, curious to see. The middle was interesting. You know, it originally to me didn't look like it was going to be that powerful. It looked like, of course, you know, when you look at a field, you can never say that a spot's not going to get used because that could very well become the spot that wins the tournament, right? Just from pattern recognition and people doing a little bit different things as the event goes on. But the middle ended up being really dominant. A lot of opportunities on both sides. And especially like if you can't get wide, the secondary moves up through the center was really powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. You're going to see a ton of that at the tournament.
Totally.
Whenever you have all those big bunkers up the middle, it's just going to be so active up there. There's going to be, you know, at least 1 to 2 people flooding through the middle. Like you said, depending on the wide, what happens on the wide, and then just playing the game. You know, you got to just play the situations how they lie.
Yeah, and shout out to BKI. Nick Sloviak and myself did do another BKI field breakdown. We get on the Guns Up app. We record on the Guns Up app, so it's like 3D. You're on the field with us. We walk through each position and really go over all the little details, the different bounce shots, all sorts of stuff. So if you guys want, head over to bkipaintball.com. Make sure to check that out. You could use code PLAYTHEGAME to sign up and, you know, get start soaking in the event prep. I know we're going to be putting together a playbook. We'll have a BKI playbook coming at you guys this Friday, so you can take that into your second weekend of practice. But Ty, we got something kind of exciting. We've been talking about wanting to highlight, and have little spotlight editions and highlight more divisional teams, players, organizations. We do have Robert Bertuglia, the owner of New York Wrecking Crew. All the listeners here, I think, know New York Wrecking Crew. Shout out to Young Stevie. Young Stevie is the unofficial captain of the team. Don't tell him I said that, right? But he's kind of earning that role for sure. And it's just an amazing organization, and they've had some success this year. They had a great practice this weekend. Well, it went rough for them, but it was against some top-level teams. So without any more on my end, we're going to give them a call here. Let's see.
That's what you want, though, when you practice,
Absolutely.
You don't want to be the practice champion.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Big Rob.
What's happening?
All right. Rob, my
What's
man,
up,
you're
brother?
live here on the PTG Show.
Live and in person, huh?
Yeah.
Live and in person. You got Tyler on the
What's up,
line
Tyler?
as well. Yeah.
Hey, buddy. Honor to have you on. Thank you so much for everything you do in the game. And with New York Wrecking Crew, it's been really fun to watch you and the squad progress. And obviously with Marcello and all the work that he's been doing with the squad, it's been really cool to see just the team molding together and really attacking the tournament scene out there.
You wouldn't have thought that this weekend, but thank you.
That's funny. I said right before we got on the horn that the team had a rough practice, but hey, you guys are a new D3 team, fairly new. A lot of the kids first year playing D3, and you guys are playing some top level teams. You had Leverage, who's a D2 team, right? And the Newbies, which is a solid semi-pro team. So, people.
We had the Philadelphia A's.
Oh, you had the A's too. Okay, nice.
Yes, so we had some really good competition. And at the end of it, though, I kind of told the guys it was like, okay, we played Friday afternoon, we played Saturday, we got a butts kicked all day. Sunday morning we did. And then all of a sudden they turned the switch and everything went like positive. We won like 6 straight points, lost a point or 2, won another 2 or 3 points. I said to the guys, let's just quit now. Let's go have some lunch. End on a high note, because you guys really showed some grit today by turning around the way they did. I mean, there were 30-second points we were getting our butts kicked. That's how bad it was. And we just learned so much in this layout this weekend.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about, is learning, right? And those are the conversations we have before these weekends, Rob, is you're going to go up against a team like Leverage, some of these high-level semi-pro teams, and you got to understand that we're there to learn, right? And it's okay to lose against those guys because they're playing at a faster pace. They've been, they capitalize on your mistakes a lot quicker than other teams in your division.
100%.
Totally. And that's why we're big advocates of not playing down divisions, right before an event, if you can help it. So if you can structure practices where, you at least one of the weekends play up a division, it's going to teach you a lot. You're going to learn so much about what you can and can't get away with, whereas if you play down in divisions or even your division, it's moves that you make might not actually be there in the event. More experienced players might clip you for overextending or, making a mistake.
Absolutely. Tyler doesn't really know me all that well, but Tyler, it took me probably 2.5, 3 years working with Marcello to understand that you don't have to win at practice. Because I used to get upset. Like, we didn't win a point.
Yeah.
He'd be yelling at me would you be quiet? We got this, man. This is a good practice. I go, it's not good. We didn't get a point.
That's funny because we were actually just talking about that. And I was just telling Marcello, you don't want to be the practice champion.
Yeah.
We're not so concerned about getting W's at practice. I'm more concerned about knowing all the intricacies of a movement or the probabilities on making a play work in a certain way. There's a lot more that's at stake at practice than just getting, wins on points. But at the same time, for morale, it's good to end a day with, some good steam and working on and dialing in exactly what's working. But you don't want to be practice champs.
Yeah.
Nope. What happened back in Vegas 2020, right before COVID hit, we were playing the semi-pro Revo team for both weekends and a couple other teams that were there. And honestly, we were so proud. We were smoking them like every point. We went to Vegas, and it's the first time in Wrecking Crew's history we never made it out of prelims. It was a disaster.
You guys weren't tested. You didn't see anything that you weren't ready for to teach you. You know, that's the problem with winning majority of the points in practice is then you get to the event and a team that, you know, you have all these weekends where a team never got into the 50 Dorito, let's just say, right? And so you don't know how to react to that. And then all of a sudden this team's getting into the 50 Dorito against you and you don't know how to respond. So losing points, if you can have a, you know, cool, calm, and collected head about it and assess why you lost that point and how you can fix that on that field, it's the best thing for you. You know, some of the biggest tournaments we've won, Tyler's been a part of it as well, as, you know, we had the worst practices leading up to it, you know, but if you learn, if you really look at it and are thoughtful and mindful in how you were losing those points, then that's where the magic comes. You're prepared for everything. You know, you're prepared for everything in the event.
1,000%. And one of the semi-pro guys, I don't remember honestly if it was either newbies or if it was leverage. You know Brandon, who played with us at OPS.
Yeah, of course.
They came over and they said, you know, we're allowing your D guy to get into the D side player to get into the 40 because we want to see what's going to happen in real life if we go out in the field. So when we get to the 40, how do we get them out? How do we figure that part of it out? So they were letting us in some positions at first just to see how they would react. So
yeah,
another way of looking at it. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah, and you know what? That's a very wise way for a team to practice. You know, I actually got this question today. How should you structure your practice if you're playing against a lower divisional team? Because that's your only option. Well, that's exactly how. You know, set up scenarios that make the game more difficult for you. Work on very minute things. Don't just go out there and try to win points because you're going to get into bad habits that better teams are going to, you know, punish you for. So doing stuff exactly like that to kind of see, you know, what'll happen if they do get into the good spots. And that's very wise of leverage. I like to hear that. Rob. Yep. Rob, I want to talk to the listeners and kind of, you know, let the listeners in a little bit because, you know, you're one of the best owners in paintball, in my opinion. You know, you do a great job with Wrecking Crew. You have really devoted a lot of time and effort into this organization to build a professional organization. You know, New York Wrecking Crew really is treated in many ways like a professional organization. And the players, you know, we hold them to a high standard, and we've built a culture there that is, you know, started to see a little bit of success, and, you know, it's a great group of young kids, but I kind of want to talk to you about, you know, what it takes to build a successful organization, right? And kind of how your journey, you know, from the start until now has changed and evolved.
I'll try to make a kind of a long story short.
We don't mind the long.
I have a cleaning business, and we were in 7 states with almost 2,000 people, you know, cleaning toilets from Orlando Airport, Newark, LaGuardia, office buildings in Manhattan. And when I kind of stopped working and kind of semi-retired, I was a little bored. My son was playing paintball, and that's why I first met Marcello. Tyler was at Boston Paintball. They had the combine over in the winter.
Yeah, and it's the best over there.
Yep. And my son was 14 years old at the time, and there was about 40, 45 guys there. And he won a one-on-one. And that year at World Cup, we were leaving World Cup, me and my son, and Marcello turned around and said, "Hey, Chris, is that you?" Like, and I'm going like, how the hell did he remember my son's name? Like, he knows 9 billion people. So we kind of connected and had him do a clinic, and I kind of got bought into it. The coach at the time quit Wrecking Crew, and I couldn't leave the team hanging, so I kind of took it over. I am not a coach, Tyler. I know a little less about paintball as a coach. I can only look at it and see what's wrong and kind of fix it. So I took the business part of it, and I said this to our coach, Lewis. I said, you know, if I treat this like a business, a real business, I think we can make something out of it. And I think that was the whole thing of it, a businessman's approach, not just a sporting event or a hobby. So we kind of structured it where we were very structured. And we had a lot of turnover in the last 2 years, both good and bad, because people weren't bought into the program. You know, when we brought Marcello on board, He taught us the culture. He was trying to teach us the winning culture. And some of the guys didn't want to buy into that, whether it was financially or emotionally, to give that much to a sport. And I kind of liked it. And unfortunately, my son stopped playing paintball, and I didn't want to leave the team, so I kept it going. And like one of your episodes I just listened to, either 1 or 2 ago, I'm the owner and the manager, and I take care of everything. You were talking about the Saints, that was it. Well, they had no water or something at the event, Robert Goff was saying, right?
Yeah.
Like, I get in trouble by Marcello. Sometimes I buy filtered water instead of spring water, and I get yelled at. But
it's not just you, Rob. Don't worry. Everybody gets in trouble for buying purified water.
Yeah, it's the best thing on the road. It's the only thing we can get. But seriously, I just look at it as a business standpoint. Like, everything is structured. Everybody has a job to do. You have to trust those people to do the job, and giving up certain control. Like at the beginning, I was putting a lot of effort into it, and obviously money, and I wasn't happy with the results. So we kept changing. Marcello recommended some players, and now we got these like-minded players and parents. The parents are all bought in on this, and that's the most important thing. It's costing them a fortune for practice. You guys know what flights are today.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's another really cool thing about the team is that we have a lot of the young kids that have, kind of come up through the BKI programs, and, I've worked with them for quite a few years, and they fly in from different parts of the country, to make this happen with New York Wrecking Crew. And, I think that just goes to show their level of commitment. Right. And, we've had this talk so much, Rob. It's okay if you don't want to, commit everything to paintball. That's totally fine.
Yeah, but you find a team that you just want to have fun with.
Exactly.
I get it.
Totally.
And I'm good with that.
Totally.
That's not what I was looking for.
Exactly. Right.
I'm a little older than the rest of the guys in paintball. I kind of did it as a hobby, but more because that's my personality. I always want to be building something and making something.
Oh, I accidentally hung up on him. Sorry, guys.
We'll call you right back, Rob.
Hey, we got cut off.
Sorry, Rob. Yeah, continue.
Okay. Yeah. I just wanted to make something out of nothing, so to speak, or, from the beginning.
Right.
And just put the business part of it over with expenses, with costing, and making sure that the players just worried about playing in paintball. And you said something that, and thank you for saying that, Marcel, that one of the better owners, because I really believe that in my heart that we are. Like when my guys show up at the field, and again, you've seen it, Marcel, they don't worry about anything. Like housing's taken care of, food's taken care of, water, supplies. We have the suitcase, the black boxes, as we call it, with batteries. Marcelo goes, we don't even get batteries. We take spare guns. We have everything ready to go, so there's no excuse not to win. I want the players, as I do with my workers, to have all the tools to do the best job they could do for my customer. So that's true. I think it was a lot simpler than it really was. It's just if someone wants to put that kind of time and devotion into it.
Well, also, you have tremendous foresight to be able to navigate the paintball scene and know which components you want to add into your organization to make it the strongest it can be as well. So there's a lot to be said about that. And obviously your passion and your willpower to, not give up when things start going bad, or, you could have very easily walked away when your son walked away. And it says a lot about you as a man and an owner of just being there for your community and helping these aspiring paintball players be the best versions of themselves, which is absolutely tremendous to have out there on that East Coast and for the paintball community as a whole.
Tyler, it really is almost like a professional team because none of the kids are local. We're in, I think, 6 states, maybe 7 different states.
That's tremendous.
So I have to coordinate. Yep, I'm coordinating with 7 parents coming in, flying out, where they're going to stay, who's picking them up, who's dropping them off, who's getting them at the airport. What time we get into the field.
I gotta take a moment to just commend all of the amazing parents out there.
Yes.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, all the parents that make these dreams come true for all these paintball players out there, because it really, I know, how invested we all are with our families, and it really is the cherry on top with the whole paintball experience when everyone can have a fun time, making these dreams come true out there on that paintball field.
And I'm enjoying watching them grow and the family grow, so to speak. The parents are all bought into this. They come to the events. As Marcello said in one of his other podcasts recently, we had an event a regional event, and we missed 3 of our starting players, Ben, Colton, and Will. And Chris McFarland and his son Chip, he got his older son to play, Chase, to fill in. His wife was actually potting for us in the pit. It was like a family affair. So
you're missing both the coaches too, missing me and Lou.
I know. We were missing Marcello. We were missing Lewis. Lewis was in Alabama for like 5 days for work. So, we were thinking about not going to the event, and I'm going, no, we're going to the event. Marcello goes, Rob, this may be bad for the guys. No, we're going to do good. And I'm going, please, dear Lord, make this happen.
I love that.
They pulled it out, and your guy Stevie did a great job coaching the kids.
Oh, of course, Steve is brilliant. He's just he's a really intelligent human. He understands the game of paintball very well. That was where we first connected years ago when he reached out to me on social media and we started having conversations. It was about paintball, and I was like, man, this guy understands the game. I don't know, he was just a student, and he would say things, I get a lot of messages in the DM, and some of them I'm like, oh, yikes, that's a little off. Stevie was always on point. And so, when I got to work with him on Gator Gang, when I went over and worked with him and Tanner, who are both now on Wrecking Crew, that's all the stuff that I saw in him. Right. And so getting him on Wrecking Crew was kind of a no brainer. And he's really an important role to all those kids. It reminds me of, when I was coming up on Aftermath, we had some older players that they didn't ever go and pursue a pro career, but they were so crucial to the success of that team and our growth as kids at the time, and it's, you have to have that maturity with a group like we have, which is a bunch of 15, 16, 17-year-olds. What I was
look up to Stevie. They do look up to Stevie.
Yeah, totally. Steve's the man. What I was going to say though, is it was a really proud moment. Ben and I were out with our West Coast team, the Vegas Golden Misfits, playing in the WCPPL with Mike Hinman. And we actually have Hinman on the line here next, but we were out on the West Coast that weekend, and we were both so incredibly excited to hear that you guys won, because it says a lot about the organization, right? And it shows that the organization has bought into everything we've been doing, and the organization is ready to be successful. And it's not as fragile as, one of the coaches making the right plays, or one of the coaches, having a good scouting report. It's the culture of the team has built and bred success, right? And so you guys were able to go in there and carry the things that we had been, doing and learning in practice, how to approach situations on the field, how to, put together game plans and how to utilize teamwork. All of that kind of stuff is now part of the team. You guys, we always joke about this, but I say, look, if I do my job right, you guys won't need me anymore. Like, that's ultimately the goal, is to do my job so well. Yeah, I'll always have some tricks up my sleeve. Don't worry. I got to make sure that I have some value. But truly, that's the goal, right? Because that means that the players understand everything that we're learning. They understand the game the way I understand the game. That's the goal.
And that's what I was proud of, because we came off of the Sunshine State win with only like 12 points lost out of 7 or 8 matches throughout the weekend. It was a phenomenal match, and like, that's kind of unheard of to only lose that amount of points. So they were a little bit cocky, and to use your expression, I wanted them to be more confident and not cocky.
Yep. I got to give them a little reality check.
Yeah. So, we didn't dominate the event, and we shouldn't have, with 2 coaches not there and 3 players, but they just kept fighting back, not giving up. They kept their composure in the pit, paint, air, clipboard,
Paint, air, clipboard, that's it.
Yeah. So we kept to that. Everybody kept their head up, and we battled back and happened to win that one too. And then when we heard you, because you guys were 3 hours behind, So on the way home, we were watching the scores as they come up with you. We go, oh shit, Marcello won too. That's awesome. Like,
it was
an
a
East
good
Coast
weekend.
win. East Coast win. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. And Ben played stellar. Ben played really awesome. Have you talked to Ben? How's he doing? I know he hurt his wrist at practice last weekend.
Yeah, he didn't like the text message I sent him this morning.
Oh no. What'd you do, Rob?
Everything is good. His mother said he needed to just splint it up. The doctor said he could play, all that kind of stuff. So I got to read you real quick when I wrote it. But Ben, heard the news today. Guess it was the best of the worst situation. Luce and I have been talking about it, and we want you to get some experience on the layout this weekend coming up. But under no circumstances will you be allowed to dive. We don't get shot and walk off the field, but no diving. If you do, I'm pulling you from the weekend. He writes, I said, wait. Then I wrote, this is for your own good. We want you for your future, not just for today.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He put lame, but understandable.
It is. I told him, like, he shouldn't even really play. But now that I found out, it's just a bone contusion, just be careful on it. Yeah, absolutely no diving. No diving whatsoever.
Be safe, kid. I know you're going to listen to this. Still be safe. Yeah.
Ben's one of the goats. We got young Ben Slowfrey. He's a goat in PTG world.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Stevie, you got half the team probably as a GOAT, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We got the boys in there. These kids are so committed. And Rob, again, I'm just I'm really excited that we've been able to keep these kids together. And there's so much potential with all of them across the board. Seth, Chip, Colton, Will, obviously, Ben, Tanner, Steve. These guys put in so much effort. They really have bought into what we're doing and what we're trying to build there. So I'm excited to see you guys perform in Philly. You guys have another practice this weekend. I'm sure, we'll connect this week and talk a little bit about layouts and how to play the field and all that kind of stuff. But
100%.
yeah.
And, for a D3 team to get the kind of teams, the quality teams that we're getting, Keith DeVitt from the Hurricanes, even though they broke apart recently, they used to help us on the layouts, and now we have the newbies. We've had, leverage. Some really good teams that have won national championships wanting to play a D3 team. So it says a lot for the organization and that you help, build yourself with it. So I just look at that as like, man, like who would really want to play a D3 team,
Mm-hmm.
And
when you do well and you have a professional type organization and teams know that when they set up a practice with you, you guys are willing to get there.
We're going to show up.
You're going to show up. You're going to play. Yeah, 100%.
Tyler, the other thing that we started, we don't get to the field like most guys do, 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning. Most guys don't get there to that time. Marcello could tell you. We're at the field at 7 a.m. As soon as the sun rises up, we're at the field. We're blowing up the field. The guys get dressed. Lewis and I blow up the field, and we're out there 3 hours before anybody else really shows up to play. We started that a long time ago.
Oh, yeah.
And nobody in the East Coast ever did that. Trust me. Those guys are there, like I said, 10:30, 11.
Oh,
and now that's become something that people are doing. They're all getting to the field by 8 o'clock now. So going back to that business structure, it's really that simple. I don't want to be there at 5 o'clock at night. I want to be there at 7 in the morning. So, the culture's totally changed, made it for the better. And the fruits of our labor is paying off. And we'll see what happens in Philly in 2 weeks.
Big Rob, what's before we let you go, what's one piece of advice you would give to an organization?
One piece of advice.
Yeah, a team that's trying to chase their first place victory.
Honestly, it's the preparation that goes in before the tournament. Mm-hmm. And you said this again, Marcel, and I'm repeating a lot of stuff that you taught me. You just can't show up at an event and think you're going to win it because you have all good guys. When we were in Vegas, going back to that, we didn't get the prelims. Don't forget, we had Ivan, right?
From DMG, yep.
From DMG. We had Jimmy Cocker from the ML Kings, right?
Yep.
So we had two pros, about to be pros, on the team, and we didn't even make it out of the prelims because we had a shitty practice.
Totally.
So it's preparing before the event. And if you're not going to put that time in, we had a D4 team and they didn't want to go to OPS beforehand. They didn't want to spend the $200 for paint, whatever it was, but they want to go to Philly. So I'm going, you're going to invest $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 to go to Philly, but you don't want to invest a few $100s to have a great practice at a regional tournament. It made no sense to me.
It makes no sense. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And Marcello's big on it as I am. Like the regional events, while you can play them, because that structure, that stress you get from a real tournament atmosphere is 10 times more valuable than a practice.
Yeah, if you're going to invest all that time, you might as well go and give yourself the best shot at it.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know if it's one piece of advice, but it's preparation. And not just, like you said, you're showing up at the event thinking you're going to win because you practiced a week before or something like that. It takes a lot before that you get there for the winning culture part of it. You know, Marcello's big on bonding, so he's taught me that. We went to see Top Gun Saturday night after practice. We went home, back to the hotel after practice, showered up, went to the Cracker Barrel, fed 10 people for $150.
Nice. Hinman's favorite.
And then we went to see Top Gun. And then we went to go see Top Gun. And and the kids are there laughing, having a good time. They're all really super well behaved. That you know, it's just a great atmosphere to be part of.
Absolutely.
So again, the preparation and the culture is the most important thing to me.
Got to do the work. That's it.
Amen.
Yes, sir.
Big Rob, thank you so much, man. Would love to get you back on the show sometime. Yep. Appreciate everything you do for those kids. Paintball on the East Coast. You know, you're really setting the standard for those divisional teams over there. It's awesome to see, and love to be part of it. So,
yes, sir. Thank you so much, Rob. We appreciate you. We salute you.
Thanks, Marcello.
Talk to you soon.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, bud.
Bye.
Peace.
Rob's the man.
He's the man, dude.
Yeah, he's the man. It's so funny. He reminds me of my dad. It's crazy. Oh, my nose is itching. What the heck? Oh, I got to sneeze.
There we go.
Yeah, he totally reminds me of my dad. Old, Italian, and stubborn. Sorry, Rob. But we have a lot of the same conversations. And my dad's from New York as well, so they have had very similar, personalities. And there's so many things that Rob does. It just reminds me of my dad. It's it definitely helped that bond along. I've known Rob for five years now, something like that. Got a lot of love for the guy. Yeah,
he's got the work ethic, and you can tell that it's apparent. And I love how he approached, creating the organization, taking it with a complete business-minded approach, and just being pretty blunt and upfront about it with everything. And that's what you got to do, right? If you're going to be successful, you got to be straight up front, and we got to have open communication with where we're headed, and we got to stick to our word, and those are all imperative to having success.
100%. Lay out your expectations in the beginning, right? For divisional teams, if you want to build a winning culture, then you have to make sure everybody understands what the goal is and what it's going to take to get there. And you all have to agree on the steps. You got to sign that contract with yourself of what you're going to put in to get the results you want, right? And if you can't agree to what it's going to take, then go somewhere else, or don't accept that player onto your team. That's just the way it is. You have to surround yourself with the right kind of people. But ladies and gentlemen, Hinman has been waiting for a little bit. We're going to give Mike Hinman a call here. We always know he's got the juice.
And it's not going to be easy either. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to be easy. It might not be version 1. It might be version 3, but keep working. Yeah.
Facts.
Yep.
Yo.
Hinge man.
Yo. Hinge master. What's going on, brother?
What's good with you guys?
There we go. We're live here on PTG.
Dude, we're live. We did it. Hey, what do you think about the layout?
I think you guys should pick Marcello up because he was killing us on it last weekend.
Yeah, he's pretty damn good at this game.
He
is pretty damn good.
I had some good teachers, good teammates, been able to learn along the way. Mike, I was definitely, we opened up the show talking about how good of a practice we got this weekend. I thought your guys looked really good. I know, per usual, you weren't happy with a lot of it. You're always making sure that the mistakes are getting critiqued and fixed, which is why that team is where they are right now. But I thought you guys gave us some excellent looks out there.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. I mean, identity is a big thing, right? And I think on SBA, there's a lot of identities we have to live up to. But one thing this day and age is there's only so many good teams out there, and making sure you're a good sparring partner, right? Like, think that's a takeaway in this sport. And there's some comparisons with it with like MMA. You know, Tyler's fighting for the title and we're from the same gym. I'm going to get in there and whoever he's fighting against, I'm going to try to give him the best possible look that I humanly can. Because as my brother, I'm trying to make sure he knows what he needs to know to go win a championship. And, you know, when we all go to practice together, some teams, and, you know, we're not here to drop names and throw people under buses, but there's some really good pro teams out there in the division that a lot of us don't want to practice, right? They come play 25 points, you know?
Yeah,
totally. The shots that they're doing, the breakouts they're doing, you're like, there's no effing way you're ever going to do that in a tournament. You know what I mean? And it's not a good look for both sides. So, so yeah, you know, getting out there with the boys in blue, which, you know, like we all know the backstory to that. Aftermath wouldn't even exist if it wasn't for Dynasty.
Yeah.
And, you know, just trying to give good looks and do different things and try to look at everything as through all the different optics that we can, right? All three sides of this field, the center, the D side, and the snake side.
Yeah. I love how you said that, you know, in regards to like MMA fighting, because it's very true. And that even goes for like your own squad, having your own squad sharpening each other up as well and keeping everybody really, really hungry from within is extremely imperative to having success out there as well.
Yeah, I think we were 4 days on the field. We were Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday this week.
Yeah.
So Friday we did drills with ourselves, and Monday we were back out there with literally the full squad was there doing 3-on-3s, 5-on-3s, situationals, attacking, for lack of a better term, defend, you know, just all the different looks we can, because definitely steel sharpens steel, and get your best players. I mean, that's even, you know, Marcello was there the same time I was there, which is something to be said. As he was waiting for the rest of the goons to show up, we were out there running 5-on-5s with ourselves, just pushing to be better, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Trying to make sure those 5-on-5s are as equal as possible. So you have two snake guys against each other, you know, all your attackers are lined up with each other to give the best looks possible.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. There's no shots off the break on this field. This is just one of those fields, you know, like there's just not much there.
Are you fucking with me right now?
For the listeners, obviously we called Mike in, so we can't see Tyler's face right now. But yeah, that's the first thing Tyler said when we started talking about the field. He's like, "Man, there's just no shots on the break." I'm like, huh? You're pulling my leg. Yeah, this is a shooter's field. I'm curious to see what you think about, you know, how it's going to play. Honestly, Mike, I think that the less experienced teams are going to get a little exposed this event. You know,
they very well could, you know, like, I mean, the issue is going to be either, you know, we're going at each other and I'm going 100%, you're going 100%, and one of the two trains are going to knock the other one off the track, or somebody's going to try to sit back and counterpunch. And I don't see how you can counterpunch on this field.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like, I just don't see, and there's going to be some snake battles. There's going to be some D-side battles. We saw people getting shot on both sides of the field on the break. I think that was a little more relevant to, you know, did Dynasty put 2 or 3 guns on the Dorito side? Even guys going snake side shooting back across because a lot of windows open.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of like the NFL, right? Quarterback in the pocket only has so many windows. He rolls out of the pocket. All of a sudden, windows really start to open up and the dynamic changes. But, you know, depending on where the bodies are getting shot on the break, man, you're going to have a hard time. You know, I always try to not show the hand too much, but like we've watched a lot of video on a lot of teams that played this weekend, and you're watching some of the stuff they did, and you're like, yeah, that's one way to do it. I don't think that's going to work come tournament time, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But
well, anytime you have like,
you know, another
ladder,
tough one.
Yeah.
Well, a tough one on the practice is paint, right? And again, like, you know, the Dynasty guys, vast majority of the guys out there, they even take a hard bounce. Like Marcello's like, yo, you bounce me going here. Blake, you know, yeah, you bounce me going there. We know come tournament time, a lot of that's not, especially for us, like us and Dynasty, our paint's been great this year. Those balls are not bouncing.
Real quick, Mike.
I think
real quick. I just want to touch on that actually, because that's such an important thing. We talk about sparring partners, right? Thomas, Kim, and I, Joe and I, we have established that relationship, you know, a year ago that, hey, when we're at practice, I'm going to treat you with respect. You know, we're here to get better. I want you guys to do well, and I hope that you guys want us to do well until it's time for us to play each other. If you bounce me, I let you know, you know, and I have established that relationship with a lot of the Aftermath players, and it just makes the practice so much better because, look, at the end of the day, we're both there, you know, for a reason. And if you build a good rapport like that with good teams to practice, you're going to build a long relationship, and it's going to be mutually beneficial. You know, whereas so many of these
100%.
teams go out there and they're just like, they're fucking cheating, they're lying, they're trifling, you know.
Straight trifling.
Straight
Too much
trifling.
happen.
Yeah. So, you know, that's a big part of being a good sparring partner is the bounces, because it's such a, you know, too often you see teams, they run to all the 50s. They swear they're not getting bounced. And then actually it only ends up hurting themselves. Not only should you be telling the other team, but you should definitely be telling your team and your coach that you got bounced going to a certain spot.
Yeah, man. We had that a lot last season with one of the teams out here. And again, you know, total friends with them. No, there's no negativity about it. The guys are running the snake, taking 3 hard bounces, diving the snake, come up, they're shooting GI 5-star, blowing us off the field, and they're like practice champs. We'd go home, and, you know, when you're losing sometimes, you know, you look around and you're like, man, are we really that bad? And I would look at the guys and be like, dude, trust me. They're using GI 5-star. We're bouncing them. There's no refs. Trust me. Come tournament time, this is going to change. And we made Sundays, and they struggled to make Sundays. And that's just, you got to be real with yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think for a lot of younger teams out there, divisional up and even in the pro division, you got guys fighting for their life to stay on the field, right? For their spot on the field. And they're out there really pushing beyond the gray area into the black darkness. And they're cheating, like you're saying, cheating their asses off. And you're like, man, you know, for all 3 of us that have been through this for decade plus now, 2 decades, whatever, that we're like, oh, going to catch up to you at the event. See you there, bud. You know what I mean? But you're totally right. Like, you got to be real with it. You take, a little nick off the arm, that doesn't count. Tyler center punches me in the head and the ball bounces. Yeah, but I'm heading out. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Sure.
It's funny that you said like, don't be the practice champ, because that's literally what we were just saying before we got you on the phone. That conversation got brought up as well. And it's all about, you know, that progression. And you want to, for everybody out there listening, build that type of rapport that Marcello was talking about, that he built with the Aftermath players, where they're building together. You know, they might not be on the same team. They're going to go heads up at the event. But when we're training, it's team paintball. It's team us. This is about the progression of the game, you know? So really try to create that atmosphere where you all can grow out there together.
Totally. Well, because if in practice, we have, you know, we're playing against each other. We're competitive. And, you know, Heat and us have always had a good relationship. You guys don't really come out west much anymore.
Dude, I wish. Man.
You have guys that you're working out hard with. The analogy I use, or the comparison, is, you know, we're in the gym lifting weights. You got some team that's out there cheating. That's like a 10-pound dumbbell. I can curl those things until the cows come home. I want to be the heaviest weight that Marcello and Tyler can try to rep, so I get the best workout with them. And if I don't win the tournament, like when Dynasty's won multiple tournaments now, man, I'm on the airplane about to take off, texting Marcello, hey, we do in practice, and congrats, man. Because if I don't win, I hope my friends do win. But that's also because all of us know we're going to be here this year and next year. And it's a long road that we're on, right? Where some of these teams, I think, lose focus, and these young players lose focus that, man, if you're really a lifer in this game like we are, I want to beat you on Sunday. But if I don't, I'm not going to, you know, be an asshole and be at a point where we're not friends anymore, you know? All 3 of us are friends because there's a mutual respect that we know every dude in the room is about it. You know what I mean? Like, Tyler, you're a monster. Marcello, you're a monster. Like, my pedigree speaks for itself, for whatever that is. Right?
Hell
like,
yeah, Mike. You already know, baby.
But, you know, like, we all don't need to talk about ourselves. Everybody else will talk for us. You know what I mean?
You're
but a
one
lot
of
these young kids are out there. How are they going to gain our respect being out there just being douchebags? You know what I mean? Like, even the Aftermath kids, like Marcello's out there putting on clinics on boys. We actually have in our team chat a video that somebody put up, Marcello, of you going down the Dorito side, scalping boys on our team. And we're like, you know, man, Dude's a fucking monster, man.
I know what you're talking about.
It's somewhere on the Dorito side. Like you went coast to coast on him.
Yeah.
Everybody out there, do not sleep on Mike Hinman either. That fool is one of the best paintball players ever to step on the field, and he will run you over like a freight train. And not only that, but your connectivity too as a teammate, one of the best teammates you could ever ask to have on the field, just because of like what you're talking about, laying it all out there for your brother or your sister right next to you. You know, whoever is on that field with you, you are 1,000,000,000% on board with making sure that they're successful, you're successful. And I wish that Heat can get out to the West Coast a little bit more and get some sets against, the West Coast ball out there. We haven't been out there in a little bit, but we'll definitely be looking to get out there and get some scrims going for sure out on the West Coast.
Yeah, we're always out here, I think us and Dynasty have a standing, if we don't catch each other in the same bracket, we're always getting down one weekend because they're just super productive practices.
They're some of the best practices we get. I mean, period. Again, I think it just goes back to something about that culture. Obviously, when Aftermath started, it was the same dynamic, and it's different players on both sides now, essentially. But, well, actually, no. We still got fucking Ryan, Alex. They're still there, huh? How are they still doing it? But it's one of the best practices you can get because of that respect, because both teams want to work hard. I will say, Mike, you guys were a little slow to the gate this weekend. It wasn't per usual.
You mean talking about game plans and stuff like that?
I don't know what you guys were talking about.
Methodical.
Yeah.
Breaking it down.
Now that I got to call the plays these days, definitely taking our time to talk about what went right. Well, but then again, we have our own field, so it's not like we were really in a huge rush.
Oh, dude, I'm just giving a hard time. We played so many points. I just have definitely been at practices where Aftermath is on the gate immediately. I'm like, Dynasty's the team that you're waiting on. We're in there trying to make sure we have the perfect play, this and that. Mike, I did want to talk.
Before we get off the subject, I just got to give major love to X Factor Paintball Park as well for housing. They had us out there last weekend and great practice, great team to play against as well.
We're heading out there this weekend with X Factor and Infamous also.
Yeah,
nice,
good times, man.
Yeah.
Hinge,
Alex always takes care of us.
Always, dude. He's the best.
Yeah, Alex
Martinez is one of the best ever in the game, right? Like, thank God he's still in it and still doing it, because that dude's, just one of the realest dudes you'll ever meet in all of paintball. I mean, the X Factor dudes are always good dudes too, right? Like,
yep.
Sure.
There's something to be said about the BKIT, right? Like,
solid.
All them dudes from Texas are good dudes, right? Like, we have productive practices out there as well.
Yeah, 100%. We haven't been at X Factor in a while, but the hospitality out there is really good. Mike, curious to talk to you about coaching with Aftermath. I saw David Ramirez was he kind of took over the clipboard a little bit, at least on field. It seemed like it. Do you plan on having him try to step in and do the X's and O's, or you plan on doing that for the team?
I mean, I think it's always been a by committee thing, right? Like,
right.
I'm more of like, my mindset is always, a 50-50 plan that everybody believes in works better than 100% plan that nobody believes in.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I mean, we all kind of know on this field what you got to do, right? You can't not put anybody on the snake. You can't not put anybody on the Dorito side. I mean, I feel like sometimes there's this, we talk about coaches, really comes down to players, right? Making sure we got the right guys on the field. And at some point that buzzer goes off, and whatever five, Tyler and and Sam and this guy and then Fedorov, those five dudes, they know what to do. So, in regards to us, it's always kind of, whether it was Jerry and myself or myself and David now, it's, David is definitely helping with some of the X, but in practice also, like you said, Marcelo, we played so many points.
Yeah.
My thing about practice is you never want to put and this is also for divisional teams, right? Don't put too much pressure on one point. Like, if you're a young coach out there, how many points are you going to get in today? 30, 25, 30, whatever your number is, times 2 days. If it's a double day practice, you're looking at 60 to 80 points. I mean, Tyler, Harmon, Marcello are going to make a ton of good plays out of 80 points because they're great players. That's what they do. And we try to look at the body of work on Aftermath, right? Like, not just, hey man, Mike Mesa shot 5 guys 1 point. Nobody cares if you shot 5 guys 1 point. This match is going to be 10 points long. Tyler shot 3 guys 7 points. That's nasty. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Consistency. And for us, getting an equal rotation for the guys we want to see. We want to see these guys in these spots. So like with David, it's kind of like, we want to get Marcello over on the Dorito side and Mike Arena here, whoever the player is, right? Mike Mesa, Thomas Kim. And we just want to see, and we keep track of the analytics, right? And at some point, we're not really surprised at what you see, right? And the better players, the cream rises to the top. So I'm sure at the tournament, David will be out there as well with the X's and O's.
Mm-hmm.
I think also from a coaching standpoint, you're calling the play for your team, but you're also watching what the other team's doing, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, if we've scouted Tyler and we think Tyler's going to the snake corner every point, and all of a sudden he's in the 200 every point, Todd's made a change, right? A scout change that we never saw. Now we have to adjust at what they're doing, if that kind of makes sense. Like football, offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators. And yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I would say with Aftermath that 5 guys need to go on the field. We know that's coming from me, but I don't need to micromanage every little thing, right? We're only as strong as our weakest link, and we all have faith and confidence that David Ramirez as well can make calls. I mean, he's a 3, right?
Absolutely.
He's a back center guy.
Right.
He knows every job out on that field. So when he's out there calling plays, all the guys have a ton of faith in him. So if that makes sense.
It does, Mike. And you're right too. Like, all that work and preparation is done in the weeks leading up. I think what you do best is you help these players understand how to play certain scenarios or how to play, like this last weekend, heard you multiple times stressing the importance of getting in the snake. Even if your first player gets shot, you got to get in the snake. The second player, you got to get in the snake, so philosophy on these fields is all being done in practice leading up to the event. And then, yeah, it's nice to have the X's and O's at the event, but you're absolutely right. If the team is prepared properly, and that comes from everybody by committee for sure. If you have that type of a team, if you have experience on the team, then the players should know what to do, because the game happens, the game starts, you break out, and those X's and O's can change very quickly. You lose one piece, and everybody needs to understand more than just what those X's and O's were if you want to be able to still have success.
Totally. I mean, I think, for me, when I talk with younger players, what's the 3 spots we can win on this whatever field from, right? This field, that field, whatever field. Is it the 50 Dorito, the 50 Snake? Where's the guy that can keep an eye over the top of those guys, right? To make sure somebody doesn't run them down. Especially with these layouts with these big, thick pieces, the 4 wings and the 2 bricks in the middle of the field. Like these pieces, to make aggressive fields, it feels like the NXL has put those pieces from the 35 to the 50-yard line most times, right? They're
That's
in the
true.
middle of the field.
Mm-hmm.
So with that happening, before, if you had isolation one-on-one on one side, but there was a second guy on the snake bed that could look back across, Tyler, Marcello, you guys both know you had a hard time running our 200 Dorito down because that guy could cross shoot you. It was easy. It was just wide open lanes. Now with these big bricks that kind of like a car wash, they're big, right? We call it on Aftermath getting under the tripwire. Like that is the level. And once somebody's head goes below that thing, by the time he pops up, he's standing in your guy's Dorito blowing his head off. And he might even stay alive doing it, right? So for us, it's like back to what Marcello was saying, like, yeah, I think with a connected long snake in a 3-on-3, probably going to be a good place to be is have somebody over on that snake side, right? And then where else do we go? And we had some points against Dynasty where we tried not to get in the snake. We're just going to go to the god in the corner and chill out. And it's like, man, not a good look, boys. You know what I mean? And I'm standing there and I'm looking at it like if we get anybody in the snake, the analytics are we win a lot more than we don't win. The second we didn't get anybody in the snake, we never won a point. So there you have it,
Yeah, it's just
and you're
too
not going to
powerful.
win a best of 10 in the NXL Pro not getting in the snake. I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
Totally.
No, and you're right with those huge bunkers, the way that they have it designed on this particular layout with them all basically up the middle, you're going to see a tremendous amount of movement of people getting under the tripwire and making it onto your opponent's side of the field, and getting necks, backs, and packs and getting some big kills out of there.
Totally. And before we had these pieces, a lot of those big moves that came down were just body for body moves. Tyler comes down, trades with Marcello, trades with Hinman. It's just a body for a body. Now we're watching guys come through and get 2 and 3 pieces, right? The first guy, and watching the elite talent in our league, which both of you guys are, watching elite talent, you've already going to throw your first punch all day. Marcello can run down and trade a body left and right if he wants to. But the true elite talent now is looking for 2, like double jumps, right? Back to the checkers comparison.
Yeah.
Where's the double jump at? Who can I get a 2-piece on? Because, Marcello grew up with it, the rule of 2, right? Go get 2 guys off the field. In a 5-man game, you get 2 off, we're in a good spot. And I think with all this stuff, and it's not even this layout, any layout we move those pieces behind the 30-yard line, 35-yard line, backwards towards the end zone, it's going to be a very slow field, right? When we put them up on the 35 to 50 in the middle of the field, it becomes there's a lot of lanes to go through, right? You can play through the center of this field. You can play down the snake. You can also play down the Dorito side.
Yeah, it's extremely exciting. These layouts have been just crash them, bash them, just heads up, go get it, and you get rewarded for the moves. It's not the same game it once was. It's definitely progressed quite a bit here.
Yeah, when we saw this layout, the first thing I said on the team chat, I said, if somebody doesn't keep eyes back to the center, Blake's going to have a field day on everybody.
Exactly.
He had a few of those. Yeah, he had a few of those too.
He feasted. I think Josh had a couple good ones too.
Yeah.
Frank had a couple good ones.
Yeah. Frank played really well on that side. He would come through that Dorito side, those wedges on the Dorito side consistently, and it just puts so much pressure on the whole team being up in those spots. When I originally saw the layout, I actually didn't think it was going to be that great. Obviously you can never count any side of the field out because that's usually the side that will end up winning a tournament if you count it out. But I just seeing it, I was like, it's maybe going to be hard to get to. Not a lot of action. People are going to try to get out to the tapes after the break, but you guys did a great job of applying pressure in both sides of that center area. And I think it's going to be, obviously we were shown that it's a lot more playable than I thought.
Yeah, it's going to be good. I mean, I think all 3 sides of this field can win games, right?
Yeah.
Dorito side can get through, dead center. You can go through the center, the different shades of the center, and then obviously the snake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
speaking of the snake, Mike, I'm excited about the new pickup you guys have. He's a great individual. I want to talk to you a little bit about Zach Hogue. How do you think he did this weekend?
Yeah, I think he did great. I mean, first weekend with a new team for anybody is tough, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, both you guys coach younger teams. I think when you come into a new team, you kind of tell it, especially a young guy like that, right? You kind of tell him, hey, man, I'm not looking for you to hit a grand slam. Just get on base, right?
Mm-hmm.
Get the ball in play. Let's see what you can do. And I think he did well, It was kind of interesting how that one all came together, right? Like I'd never really talked to him in depth. We had heard in the beginning of the season, you guys were interested in him. And obviously with our standing agreement we have between our teams, second you guys are talking about somebody, we go the other direction, right? We're not going to make a play on somebody you're making a play on. And then when he turned down the deal to possibly come over to Dynasty or, be a practice squad guy, we all just thought, well, if he's happy at Blast Camp, whatever happened there, which way above my pay grade, he had gone over to Revo and, he reached out to us a couple weeks ago and, just thanked us for some kind words we had for him, some advice we had given him, and asked, if there was ever a chance. And we told him, definitely
nice.
There. We didn't know where his deal with Revo was, and it's really not our place, right? Mm-hmm. And we didn't offer him anything, I think that happens a lot, right? Somebody makes a move and it's like, man, how much should he get paid?
Yeah.
I mean, dude got Chick-fil-A and you might get some Cracker Barrel at the next tournament, but that's standard, you know what I mean? But, we told him, you want to get a ticket out here, grab a ticket. And he was here for practice and he was here for 3 of the 4 days and did well, right? Great young player, great young, like you said, great human being. We're glad to have him. And, Blast Camp, that whole team has a lot of talent, right?
Yeah.
All those guys.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's not just him. I mean, there's a lot of dudes on that team that are really good.
Mm-hmm.
So he has the skills, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now it's just at the pro level, how do we, good pay, that kid's always going to score, right? He's going to get 10, 20 points a game if this is the NBA. How do we get him to 30 or 40 points a game?
Right.
How do we get a triple double out of him?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's kind of, as a coach, how I look at it. I mean, everybody on your team, Marcello, everybody on your team, Tyler, can win all on their own. But how do we get that analytics up? How do we get the numbers up? How do we get more kills? How do we get everybody, Ronnie, whoever it is, right? Even Tyler. How do we get Tyler 50 points a game? Right? How do we get Kobe to greatness? And that's, for a coach, that's kind of the goal. So with the kid, just working with him. We definitely need another snake side guy. We lost Unger early in the season. He retired like the week before our first practice, which kind of put us in a tough spot. We've been looking to fill that role. Cody Chong, Garrett Maxwell, both.
Garrett Baldwin.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I keep saying that.
Shout out to Garrett Maxwell, though, OG Dynasty player.
Garrett he's the man.
That's so funny.
Dude, I just gotta say, Mike, no, seriously, I love picking your brain, man, and we're so grateful to have your insights here on PTG for everybody to tap in on, because I'm gonna start calling you Metaphorical Mike, even, because your metaphors are on point. You know what I'm saying? Like you got the metaphor game tied up, and you just make so much sense when you start putting the puzzle pieces together the way that you do. And you're an excellent owner and manager, and have been in the game for a long time. So I just got to give you some flowers here, because we really appreciate you, digging into the game with us here, bro.
Yeah, it's what I love doing, right? Like, I mean, this game is unlike anything else, right? It's like the happy place in all of our lives, getting,
straight
to play
up
at the highest level against the greatest, and not just my team, it's the other teams, right? Like all of you guys. Like, man, there's some big sharks in the water. Right. And like, that kind of excites me. Like you want to go hunting against something that's going to hunt you,
you raise a lot of these sharks too.
Yeah.
100%.
Big old pat on the back there.
I'm just always, I always say, like Marcello and I talk about it, like, for me, the way I look at it is, I didn't get any of these kids through the door. I just showed Marcello a door. I'm like, hey kid, you see that door over there? Fucking way up that hillside. It's going to be a lot of hard work. Rocky, rough, there's no guardrails. It's going to be tough. But when you get up there, you're going to, look back down the hill and look at all the guys that didn't come with you and realize, the 10,000 hours were worth it. So yeah, it's cool for me, whether it's Heat, Dynasty, Impact. So many of those dudes came through our camp, right? I'm like a happy poppy. You know what I mean? I'm just like, man, the boys are doing good.
Yeah.
Some of the best times ever running around, shout out to Cracker Barrel one time, having some fun with the squad,
And what's fun though is we're all still doing it. Even though we're on different teams, the love that, like, those of us that have been here for so long and spent all this time together, like whether Tyler's on Heat or this team or NYX, or it doesn't matter, Russian Legion, the name doesn't matter. What matters is like these stories that nobody really knows about outside of all of us, and that bond and the brotherhood that even if my brother's on a different team, that hug's about as real as it gets. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's what it's all about. And that's what keeps everyone coming back to paintball is those timeless, unspoken bonds, just the family. It really is a family. Paintball is one of the tightest families in the sports world. And it's, I don't know if it's because it's such an underground sport and it's still on the come up, but people really look out for each other. And there's just a different type of camaraderie from within this game that is truly timeless. And that's why it hooks so many people, and they never, ever get out of the game once they come in, because it's just too much fun.
Yeah. The brotherhood, the passion, the competitiveness. It's an interesting little mix, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
I think it's part of that bond is because it takes so much sacrifice, and it's such a obsolete sport in comparison to other mainstream sports, and the sacrifice that the players that do find success in this game, or even the ones that don't, but it's expensive. It's on the weekends. You give up a lot of other stuff to be at the paintball field. Right. And so I feel like that just kind of naturally creates a bond in itself, because you understand one another a little bit better. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, 100%. Like you said, I mean, I'm flying to Texas this weekend, fly home for 2 days, be a dad for a couple of days, get back on a plane, go to Philly, right? Like, there's a lot of sacrifices.
Speaking of being a dad, Bryce is getting bigger and bigger. Ty, like, he's obviously been growing, but this
6
last
foot?
weekend, Bryce, dude, he's for sure 6 foot. I think he's
Yeah.
taller.
Yeah.
Is he
The
taller,
crazy
Mike?
part is he's 6 foot right now. He's
Okay.
not as tall as me, but he's almost there.
Okay.
Damn.
And he's jacked.
But I was going to say the muscle mass he has put on is insane.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't want to
Like,
mess with
I
Bryce.
got about a month or two that I got to be the dad here left before it's going to be like, I better check my tone when I come in the house. You know what I mean?
Well, hey,
Oh,
shout out to
man.
Bryce. There we
Yeah,
go, kiddo.
100%.
That's
He's
what I'm
stunning.
talking about.
It was funny though, right? We're over there practicing each other, and I think I saw him in the morning. Came and gave me a hug and a kiss on the cheek. Went over to his field. Then the end of the day, we're all standing there, and Bryce comes walking up, looking like Mouse Jr. And it was like, got another hug and a kiss on the cheek, and then he was gone. Watching him go to the gym, and I'm like, later, son. But
Damn, man.
another cool paintball story, right?
Yeah, he's bigger than Mouse was when Mouse was his age, for sure. Mouse bloomed a little later.
Yeah, well, I mean, Bryce is only 16 still, and he looks like he's going on
It's
21
crazy.
physically.
Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, but
Beast.
also, just for me, I never thought in a million years my son would be at that paintball field competing, trying to be as good as he could be, and would be who he is now.
Yeah.
Right? Like, which we talk about Dynasty. I was on Dynasty when he was born. We had him induced
That's right.
a couple days early, so I didn't have to miss Chicago that year.
Yeah. Man.
Like, and just to see it all come full circle. Now he's out there grinding, which just tells all the other dads and family people out there, like, trust me, you got a kid coming into this world, or you got a young kid, give it another 5, 10, Tyler, 10,
Yeah.
just watch.
I know. I do. I'm so, man, I want to pick your brain on like what that experience is like. Like you just said, you were on Dynasty when he was born. Now he's out there running around, having the time of his life, being able to not only, get his health exercise, but be part of a community, a tribe, and go run people over with his boys and his squad. So what's that all been like, watching that just completely come full circle like that?
I mean, the word you use is pride, right? Like, as a dad, you're just always proud of your kids, right? I would hope, right?
Of
Even
course.
when your kids make mistakes, you kind of sit back, smile, and think, well, the kid ain't done half the dumb shit I've done. So,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, I'm super proud of him. First WC, he gets into 3 one-on-ones that he won. And one of them, with a partially torn groin, was like to get into the quarter or semi, whatever finals it was, the Ocho finals. And I'm just sitting there as a dad, like, fuck, if he loses this one-on-one, he's going to eat himself alive. Like, he is the roughest on himself, and he won it. And I'm like, I think he won 3 one-on-ones that tournament.
There we go.
It's been awesome.
Yeah.
It's been awesome. And
dude,
yeah, I mean, you're just proud. And it's cool because, like we said a little bit ago, we all spend so much time away from our families, Like, it's cool to get, like Tyler, if a family can come to a tournament or World Cup because Disney's there or something like that. Like Thomas Taylor's family travels with him a lot, but we still aren't with our families the whole time. We're alone a lot, and it's how cool is it to be able to have your kid with you at a paintball tournament. And then on top of that, your kid's sitting there in every team meeting, pointing out things that need to go down. And you're like, man, he's not just some kid. He's legitimately a tough little human being, So yeah, man, as a dad, I could not ask for anything more in a son than I have in my oldest son. And even my youngest son that pits with you guys, Tyler. Colin,
he's the man.
He's about the coolest. He's the coolest little kid too. You know what I mean?
Yes, Colin, my OG. Colin is the best, dude.
Huge
He's running.
fan.
Yeah, he's always, and he'll let the Aftermath players know too. You know what I'm saying? Like he'll pull up on him and let them know.
Oh, that's
quick.
hilarious. That's so funny.
Even
it definitely happened.
Yeah, and Mike, he's like, yeah, I'll see you later, Dad. I'm going to help Heat. See you later, buddy.
That's another story, right? Like, we're at the first practice last season at X Factor. Sarge is looking for some kids at the field to pick up pods. He offers to pay these kids. All these kids are looking at him like he's offering them candy out of a stalker van. And Sarge can't find any kids that'll run pods. He walks up to my son, not realizing it's my son,
Yeah.
offers him some money. Colin is all about his
Hustler.
bread and
Yeah.
is like, yeah, I'm going to run pods. Runs pods for him. So in between sets, I'm sitting there with my arm around my son talking to him. And Sarge rolls up on me and he's like, hey, don't try to take my pod guy. And I'm like, oh, you mean my son? And the look on Sarge's face, and we all know Sarge to be one of the most honorable dudes there is, right?
Of
like
course.
he's legit
Yeah.
one of the greatest dudes in paintball.
Yes.
But the look on his face was like, oh fuck, right? And like, I'm reading Sarge's expression, and I'm thinking to myself, like, what? Like, you're paying the dude money. I mean, I only bought him a first class ticket out here. You're paying him, and like, Sarge was super good, and all the Heat guys that were there were super good to Colin and invited him to come back. As a dad, man, go make your own path. You ain't got to walk 1 minute in my shoes. Go take your own path in the game. So, well, on a side note, we will be at a random dinner. Bryce, Colin, my two kids, and myself, and the trash talk that comes out of Bryce about Colin being a finger quote race trader and going to Houston Heat is just never ending. Like,
dude, Colin
wears
is
his
the
Houston
best.
Heat shirt like every other day.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
And his work ethic too. The kid is working hard, and he's like just the kindest, most respectful, awesome young man ever, and we're honored to have him as part of the Heat squad. So, Colin, if you listen to this,
he
we
literally
love you, bud.
ran 2 paint trucks at the WC.
Yeah, wow, dude,
And,
no
I
way.
mean, we probably sold, let's just say, over 60,000 pounds of paint. And at 12 years old, he handed every one of those cases out of that truck.
No way.
What
Yeah,
a
by
legend!
himself.
Let's go.
I'm not
Like,
surprised.
go,
listen,
Col.
man,
Yeah.
dad
There it
tip
is.
number 352. Work ethic is not born in us. It's instilled in us.
Mm.
Yeah, it's true. Very true, man.
Yeah, it's a shame you don't see it as much anymore. You really don't. It makes coaching some of these newer players a little difficult, because I can tell right away sometimes, when players show up to the field, you just don't have the right mindset or the right work ethic, and it's a shame. A lot of it is from the upbringing. You can tell when players have just had everything handed to them, or when an individual has just had everything handed to them. They haven't had to really earn anything. And you can see it so much in paintball, because as soon as you start having adversity in paintball, it's a frustrating game when you lose, when you get shot, when you make mistakes. Kind of hurts. It gives you an immediate response. Like you're punished for your mistake immediately, and you have to confront it immediately as well. And it really brings the worst out in some of these players that aren't willing to work and just want it easy. You can see it right away.
No, you're totally right, which is why I think we don't retain a lot of these players.
Yeah.
Like NXL, for instance, there'll be D5, 4, 3, 2, semi-pro, pro, 6 X-ball divisions, so there'll be 6 winners. But if there's 120, 130 teams, that's 124 teams that won't win.
Yeah.
And a lot of people cannot handle not winning, right? And part of the road to winning is learning how to lose, right? Like, you have to internalize it. You can't, man, I say this, because I run a league, and I hear people cry about the refs. And maybe some of it is justified 100%. But I can't think of one time I've ever come home from an NXL with any call that I've gotten and blamed it all on the refs. Yep, refs got us. Like, I feel like in paintball, it's almost like the movie Shawshank Redemption. They're all sitting around talking like, what did you do? And Andy Dufresne says, well, I did this, that, and that. And the rest of them are like, nah, we all got screwed by our lawyers. We're all innocent. Like, everybody in paintball just points a finger at the refs. It's always the refs. No, it's you, bud.
It does happen a lot. Yeah.
We play a format that you have a ton of reps to be able to prove that you're a better team. One bad call is not the end of it. If you are that good of a team, rise above. But this day and age, these young players that you're talking about and the lack of work ethic, they just got to blame somebody else. And
Absolutely.
You know what they say, when you point a finger at somebody, there's always 3 more pointing right back at you. And that's the truth. You've got to internalize it and just go back to work and work harder. But this day and age, if somebody can't win in a couple events, team breaks up, everybody leaves, think the grass is greener on the other side. Not. We look like the Latin Saint team. I'm not talking about the players. That team took 2nd place in Florida. You think of that, if Diego, which is a whole nother can of worms, if he could have kept that team together until Florida year 2, that second place is a first place.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because it just takes time. Like, Tyler went to Heat. Was it the first event, Tyler, you guys won? But after that, there's a learning curve to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just takes time where you can look at the guy next to you and be like, oh, fuck, Hinman's about to do some dumb shit. Better take off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and dude, I love what you said.
It really does.
Yeah, for sure.
The excuses and the blaming and all of the finger pointing is only going to hold you prisoner of mediocrity. You'll never be great if you blame others and make excuses. There's never been a time in my career. I've played a lot of paintball. Yeah, there's been some calls gone my way, maybe some that haven't. But I'm never going to sit back and say, we lost because of this one moment. You should play so damn good. There's no excuse. There's no excuse. You should play so good that a ref could make 3 questionable calls and you still win. If you're that good, then you got to put it on your shoulders and really, you got to wear it. You got to have responsibility. That's what it comes down to.
I just hate the whole blaming the refs thing in the first place, because you watch the NBA. You watch the NBA finals right now. There's mistakes that the refs there make. The refs are going to make mistakes, period. One, and paintball is an incredibly difficult sport to ref. I've refed for your league, Mike, a long time ago. And as a professional with tons of experience, it was hard. I missed calls.
It's hard.
Things would happen, and I'm like, that's a trade. Both of you get out, please. Funny enough, this last WCPPL, there was a, air quotes, controversial call. Mike, you were there, and I would have maybe argued that we should have got the point, but I understood, you know what? I get it. This is probably the most fair way forward. And I can tell that a lot of coaches or other teams would have just continued to yell and say, no, this is BS, yada, yada. That does no good. And you're removing, you're being weak, right? So look, the call's made. Go back to your team and find a way to win the next point. Move on. Get over whatever it is that you think is someone else's fault.
Well, you got to transmute that energy.
You can fucking focus on. Yeah, 100%. And I see, I watched it. I see you, Mike, you are so involved with your league. You're walking back and forth. You're making sure that everything is being run well. You're checking in on everybody. And I see some of these other teams start to argue with you about certain stuff. I'm like, one, the call's not getting changed. You're now distracting yourself. You're distracting your team. You're distracting your whole organization from the actual objective, right? Because you're like, you don't believe in yourself. You don't believe that you're going to go win the next point. You feel like you needed that one. I don't know what it is exactly, but it's just a waste of time is what it is, And so
100%.
In any of the teams that sit there and argue with refs in any of the leagues that I play in or teams that I coach, that's like one of the first rules is don't you dare. Don't argue with the refs. Leave it up to me. I'll make my case. If the ref disagrees, then the ref disagrees. And that's it. We move on, period.
Yeah.
Accept it and move on. And there's no if, ands, or buts about that. And honestly, there's no doubt in my mind that if I would have shown that I was concerned about that call, the team probably wouldn't have went and won that overtime point, because it brings the
100%.
whole, you got
the mindset.
Yeah, totally.
And another tough one for the sport of paintball, and people really, it's interesting when a player comes out and refs one of our WCs, because they always are done at Sunday night when we're paying everybody out. They're like, man, this changed my whole perspective. And one way I look at it now, like, man, when we're at a paintball tournament, that ain't a paintball tournament. It's a fucking prison. And every player out there is a convict trying to get over on those referees. And I'm serious, man. It sounds bad, but it's the real truth. Like, guys are out there. Name one player that's never cheated. I stand correct. You know what I mean? Like, everybody's out there to cheat. But the difference is, and it's happened to all three of us we've lived in the gray area. Let's just put it like that, right? But at the end of it, if I got caught cheating or didn't whatever, I can own it. The crazy part is these days, these players cheat and can't even own the fact that they're out there cheating. Yeah. They come out and they've already wiped the 2 hits off. They go to the coach and they're like, I don't know what he called me on. And you're like, bro, stop. Just stop.
Oh, man. I know. I actually had this same exact experience that you're talking about recently happen. And I'm not going to put anybody on blast, pro player. And they're trying to lie to me in my face, bro. And I'm just like, oh my God, I can't with you. I'm out of here. Yeah.
And for the record, that was not me, because I will never lie about, like, because you know what the word is that we're all looking for is accountability.
That's it.
Right?
Yeah.
We have to have accountability in paintball, like, you know, and that way you can learn from it. But if you're always deflecting blame, you know, oh yeah, Marcello, that was a horrible call. Tyler, oh, that ref was trying to screw me. No, man, you're screwing yourself.
Yeah.
You ain't put the time in. And it's something that Marcello said earlier in this. If you put the time in and practice, if you go 110% in practice, by the time you get to the tournament, that's muscle memory, right? Like, that's legit. Your body understands playing at a high level. But if you've been out in practice cheating, showing up at 9, getting out by 12, you ain't put the time in.
Straight up.
You just think you're going to be fucking miraculously gifted a win?
Straight up.
Like, it's not how it works. You know, you have to be the first one to show up, the last one to leave, and the man that put the most energy and effort into this game to even have a chance to win on Sunday.
Yeah. Truest
100%.
words. Yep.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, that's the same thing I say to any of the teams that I coach, Mike, and, you know, I probably got a lot of this from you, but it's when you're at the event, if you're worried about, like, obviously you do learn throughout events, things change a little bit and you're learning about the other team. I get all that. But if you're like trying to learn monumental things about the field, or if you're there trying to fix your snap shooting, or you're not ready to win, all the work has been done in the weeks leading up to the event, right? You're supposed to show up and execute, not show up and try to catch up, or, you know, like the night before trying to remember all your codes, or the morning of trying to remember codes. All of that stuff has got to be done in the weeks leading up to an event. Otherwise, just don't even go. Why waste the money?
Yeah, that's mustard and relish.
Why waste the money?
Yeah.
You know?
No, you got to put the time in, man. But this day and age, a lot of people don't want to put that in. And, you know, when you hear the videos on what Kobe Bryant would do, or you see Marcello out there, or you see Mouse out there every weekend putting in the time, you young kids, you better find some Wednesdays on top of Saturday and Sunday to try to beat these dudes. Because if you put in less time than them, only thing you're doing is getting your lunch ate by these dudes.
100%. You know, Mike, it's crazy. I see that even some of the kids that I really believe in, that I've been working with quite a bit, I see them taking some weekends off, you know, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm going with my friends this weekend to so-and-so place because I never get to do, you know, I'm like, wait, what? You're not practicing just because we don't have like a team practice, or you're not out here doing this, or you're not going to be out playing? It doesn't compute to me, because that wasn't a thing for us growing up. You know, that wasn't a thing for me, Mouse, Tyler, you know, none of us that came up in that era. Every weekend, Saturday and Sunday, you're at the field for sure. If there was a Wednesday night on the gravel, we're going to Adrenaline. If they're like, whenever we could play, we were playing. And it's just kind of the norm across the board, which is crazy. Because you're right, Mike. How the hell are you going to catch up to any of us? You know, you're going to have to wait until we all retire.
That's why Go Sports ain't putting out move alerts about half these kids. And I see some of these dudes that are on pro teams say, you know, I wasn't cool enough to get a move alert. Bruh, you ain't put the time in, my guy. Like, who the fuck are you? Who are you? And I know that sounds really arrogant for those of us that have been around and won world championships, but you're like, man, I'm putting the time in. It's 115 out. I'm out at the field. Where are you at, kid? Oh, you're at a rave this weekend. Oh, cool, bro. Awesome.
Yeah.
And that's why all of you guys will continue to be the cream of the crop until you retire. And then when you do, we're going to take pro paintball back to like D1 below semi-pro level and have to rebuild it up, because a lot of these kids just don't have the grit that the dudes that 10 years ago had. And maybe it's just our society changing, right? Like, everybody wants something for nothing. There's no self-sacrifice. Man, when I got on Dynasty, I built Aftermath to have somebody to play against, because I knew I wasn't good enough to stay on that team if I didn't put 10,000 more hours in. But this day and age, everybody, you know, what do you got for me? Free. You going to pay me?
That's
no.
what it is.
Stop. Let's not even talk about getting paid. Everybody thought when the Saints came out this year, all this money was going to be real. All 6 of them dudes re-signed with new teams after leaving the Saints for less money combined than one of them should have got from the Saints. There ain't going to be no money at the end of this rainbow kid. Ain't no pot of gold and a leprechaun over there unless you're the hardest working dude there is.
Yeah, we talked about this
up.
last weekend, Mike. There's definitely money to be made in paintball as a professional paintball player, but it's not what some of these kids think. Not yet, at least. You know, who knows if it will. But you have got to bust your butt. You got to be valuable to your sponsors. You have to be a good brand yourself. You've got to teach clinics. You have to be creative in, you know, your own merchandise or whatever the case is. You have to treat paintball like a business, right? You can't just expect to get a paycheck for being good at the game. We're not there. We're not there. Period.
No, but the key word in there is work, right? These kids out there think that there's something for free, that like nothing good in life is free. Nothing vested, nothing gained, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to put the time in. You got to work. You're right. Marcello does good for himself. Ryan does good for himself. Tyler does good for himself. These dudes are coaching teams at WC. These dudes are putting the time in, right? And it's not like anybody's going to make 6 figures, but I mean, you can make a living here, but you are going to have to be the 1%er, right? Like,
yeah, totally.
You're going to have to put in some serious time. You're going to have to be flying everywhere when you get an offer to really make it happen. And if you just think, man, the check should be here, it's in the mail, somebody's just going to pay me $100,000 to sit around. Yeah. Okay.
And then if and when you do go pro, you've only just begun. That doesn't mean that, you know, like you're saying, the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow and all this thing. You need to just kind of go base level and get real humble. That's what you need to do. And as soon as you get into the pros and work harder, like we're talking about, do three times a week where you're training. You know, you have to be in the gym all throughout the week. You have to be watching film. You have to really apply yourself, because the amount of time and effort that has been put into this game by the top players in the world is going to be really hard to get that much experience unless you're really, really gritting and grinding and giving everything you have to every second of every day in every way that you possibly can to apply yourself to paintball. Nutritional, mental, muscle memory, going out, doing reps, everything, all of it has to be applied.
Well, it's like this, right? I told that, and Marcello brought him up earlier, Zach Hogue, right? We picked him up. Marcello also saw we have 2 other young guys that are practice squad guys for us right now. Young snake guys. And I said, listen, it's been 10,000 hours, Zach, for you to get to where you're at right now. Congrats. Happy for you, bud. Now let's check this out. It's another 10,000 hours to stay here. And it's 100% to be a real pro. And listen, if you want to be a pro paintball player, this is what a pro paintball player really is. You're going to get on your first pro team. Congrats. You made it, bud. Check's in the mail. But check this out. When you get cut or that team breaks up, does anybody call? And if nobody calls, you were never really pro. You were just somebody took a chance on you. That's all you really were. Dynasty, Houston Heat. Let's just say, not that it will ever happen. Dynasty's never going away. Pretty sure they're going to outlive me. But if Dynasty breaks up right now, every dude on that team most likely is getting a phone call from another pro team. Ryan Greenspan would probably get a phone call from all other 19 teams. That's a pro player. If nobody calls you, you're not worth shit, dude. Sorry.
And it's gonna
Straight
like
up.
Those moments are gonna be gut wrenching, but those are the ones that will build you. Those are the most important moments in your whole life, is when the shit hits the fan. How do you react? How do you create your new reality? You know, we saw where
you're right,
you
but
were.
Also, what did you put in before then? Like, let's just use my team for that matter. If I said tomorrow it's done, what are my guys? Joe Barrett on some team, no doubt. Mike Mesa, no doubt, gets a look at from some teams, right? Thomas Kim, Josh Hallberg, right? Those dudes all get looks from teams. But if you're one of them younger dudes on my team, probably nobody's going to give a call to. Then you got to go look in the mirror and say to yourself, I got to step my work ethic up now. I need to be out here an hour. I need to be full sweat by the time Marcello shows up to the field. 2 practice squad kids I got, right? Men. They're both grown men, but they're little short people, so I call them kids. But one of them was at the field running drills on the field by himself before 8 o'clock in the morning. The other one showed up at 9 o'clock on Sunday. The one that was running drills got more reps than the one that showed up at 9 o'clock. Just what it is, man. And if that kid that shows up at 8 o'clock is there every single weekend, 52 weeks out of the year, and Marcello comes out twice the rest of the year just to do drills with some of our guys, and that kid full tilt sweat, shot targets up, and Marcello's like, fucking kid's got some heart. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's got that grit that Marcello's talking about a lot of young guys don't have. Now he's planted a seed for free. It was free to plant that seed. It only cost him some time. But a lot of these kids these days don't want to do that. They don't want to be pushing Marcello. Hey, man, where the fuck you at? It's 8 o'clock. Marcello's like 30 minutes away. Where you at? Sends a picture from the field. All right, then. Bet.
Mm-hmm.
You want to raise the bar? Let's raise it. But these kids really don't want to do that. And, you know, we talk about astronauts. Marcello, you know firsthand, and so do you, Tyler. I don't really like Tristan. Like, you really think Tristan was what, the prototypical player? Nah, he was just the toughest little sumbitch at the local field. So we picked him up. Figured we could make something out of that.
I love
That's
Tristan
how
so
you
much.
got to be. You got to be you got to be that dude, right? You got to be the toughest dude out there that's putting in the time, that's not taking the weekends off. Hey, it's Christmas.
Yeah.
Where you at, Marcello? Oh, you're with the family? Oh, you're taking the weekend off? Yeah, whatever, dude. Cool. You know what I mean? But these kids just don't have it. And us pro guys keep pushing it. And it's like we're speaking Swahili to them. You know what I mean? You just don't hear us.
Yeah, it's one of the most important things I look for when I, you know, some of the younger kids, and it's been such an amazing transition of mine is to be able to kind of do in a much smaller scale things that you did for me growing up. But these kids, it's their mindset is everything. And I've seen it from trial or error. Like kids that I did believe in, I realized early on I was missing something about their mindset. And, you know, those players aren't still playing, but the ones that have had the right mindset are doing really well right now. And they're on the path. And it's just, you can teach them how to play the game. You could teach them fundamentals. Can't really teach mindset unless you have a kid from birth. That comes from their, you know, how they're raised, what they've been through, you know, what kind of, you know, things their parents have taught them essentially. And so you can't take a kid that you get as a coach and teach them mindset. You can maybe help and you know, assist it along the way, but they have to have that kind of grit and that gumption from something else, something that in their upbringing, you know what I mean?
Oh, 100%. I do firsthand. And that's what I look for.
Yeah.
And a lot of these, like you're saying, a lot of these kids, I mean, and I think the reason the three of us are talking about it, and for lack of a better term, harping on it right now, is because we all know it is very possible for every single person listening to this podcast, man, woman, or child, to be a pro paintball player. You just have to, it's got to be a priority. You have to be dedicated. And, you know, we're giving you the blueprint. Mm-hmm. The blueprint is here. You have to, you know, outwork everybody there is to get to where you need to go to. And if you're willing to do that, next stop the top.
Yep, straight to the moon. Just got to put in that.
But if you're not willing to outwork everybody, take a fucking seat, mate. Go fill pods for these guys.
Yeah, straight up.
About as close to that pit as you ever really going to get. And, you know, for me, I was never an athlete, right? I was an offensive lineman in high school, right? I thought I was a quarterback. They're like, hey, Hinman, you're a guard. Okay, cool. You know what I mean? But, like, in this sport, you can be the quarterback. You can be the linebacker. You can be the guy. But it just comes down to wanting to put the time in. Yeah. And, you know, listen, we all in this sport have that moment where we lay down at night. We're like, what in the fuck am I doing? Like, is this really what I want? And like you're saying, Marcel, that's when you got to push through, right? But that's life. Totally. That job's going to get hard. Your marriage is going to get hard. Your relationship with your friends is going to get hard. But like, you know, and Marcello and I have been through some ups and downs in our brotherhood, right? We've been times where he didn't understand me and I didn't understand him. But at the end of the day, you have to be committed to the process and be like, hey, man, I don't fucking agree with what you're saying, kid. But at the end of the day, I'm going to give you a big hug. You know what I mean? And you just push through the shit.
Yep.
100%.
It's true though, right? Like, you have to push through.
Yeah.
And you
Yes.
see these young kids at the field, man, they're smoking weed, they're drinking beers. What in the fuck are you doing?
Yes.
Yeah,
What?
that was never a prerequisite when I was coming up. Like I was like when we showed up to do paintball training, it was cutthroat. It was serious business, and I really hope that we can keep it business minded, like we've been talking about throughout the entirety of this episode. Because when you treat it that way, you're going to really reap the benefits as well. And maybe the reality that you're seeing won't be so quote unquote cloudy. Maybe you will be able to cut through that and really have some supreme clarity and be able to transcend the moments that you're experiencing that are not aligned with where you want to be, but we got to really take it extremely professionally and really push it in the right direction.
Which is where, like Marcello brought up a little bit ago, the kid that we got, Zach, he had said with some of the teams he had been on, they'd had a tough tournament in Texas, whatever, and dudes want to go have dinner and just talk about other things. And he's like, man, I want to be figuring out how we're losing. I want to be at the field on Sunday. Like, listen, if you don't make the cut on Sunday at the NXL and you're not at the field, you ain't about this life, man. If you went out Saturday night partying because you didn't make it in on Sunday, I don't care if you're in Division 5. You got something fucked up with you, bub. Like, you need to be at the field sitting there. Oh, there's Dynasty. There's Heat. Well, look at that look in Tyler's eyes. Man, why ain't Marcello saying what up to me right now? Because he's clocked in, bro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't like Tyler. You run by me, Marcello don't say what up to me. I don't take that shit personal on Sunday. On Monday, I'm gonna slap both of you motherfuckers. But on Sunday, because you're sitting there, and if you don't understand it,
100%.
at least observe it and try to emulate it, right? Try to copy what they're doing. Because I'll tell everybody out there, I've seen the look in Tyler's eyes. I'm a pretty serious fucking dude myself. But that look in Tyler's eyes, I stay away from it, right? That look in Marcello's eyes, I ain't afraid of nobody out here. But I recognize and I respect the fucking hunger inside of them, dude. In Mouse, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Mouse acts like a little sissy law sometimes and can't pick up a phone. But at the end of the day, I recognize the hunger in his eyes and I respect it, right? I really do.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, these kids that I grew, that, you guys were all younger than me. I was kind of like the bigger brother, but I see it in you guys and I'm like, man, I'm so proud of you guys. Like, you're truly pushing the envelope in this sport.
Well, it's reciprocated, Mike.
It means a lot.
We love you, man. Everything you've done in the game and continue to do.
Marcello, you know what I'm talking about. You played with Tyler, but even playing against him now that he's where he's at, you see that look in his eyes.
Oh, yeah.
And again, not saying we're running from it.
Yeah.
I might run towards it because I want a little shot at that title.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's that intangible that we're talking about at the top division that you should all out there want to get to, is when you see the look in Tyler's eyes and you're like, yeah, I'll be your Huckleberry. That's right, buddy.
Let's go, baby.
You know what I mean? So,
even when Tyler's on your team and you see that look, you're not sure if you should stay away or not.
I know, dude. I saw it at an event. I saw it at an event in the last year with Tyler. I'm not going to say which one it is because it might be kind of obvious. But I gave him a hug, and he gave me a hug. But he had the 1,000-yard stare on. And I know that if I saw Tyler in 50 years at a random airport, there would be a mutual love and respect between two men, 100%. But in that moment, he was clocked in, and it was one of the coolest things I had ever seen because I knew he was in the zone. Right? This has nothing to do with anything else. You could have given that dude $1 million right there, $1 million check, big check, Happy Gilmore check. And it wouldn't have changed where Tyler's eyes were, right? He was living in that moment. He left it all out there. And I was like, man, respect, brother. You know what I mean? Like, that's me talking as a man. Like, it still sticks with me to this day. I'm working and I'm thinking about it. Right? And I'm like, motherfucker's real, dude.
Let's light it up. Let's go.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I know what event we're talking about too, damn it.
Yeah. It's the best game.
But no,
it really
is. What it is at the top. There's a
up.
bunch of big bad boys up there that can handle business. You know what I mean? And it's just every two pro teams that line up is like two trains on a track going at each other. And one of them going off the track, right? Somebody's got to lose this game. And it's fun. That's why we come out to every event and keep doing this year after year.
100%.
It's the most fulfilling. Yeah, it truly is. And, every tournament is timeless. Each one of them is unique. Each one has their moments and these really, standalone just moments in time that never evaporate, and they stick with you forever. And each tournament has those. And that's why everybody continues to step back out in between those nets and throw these gelatin capsules back and forth at each other, because it just creates some of the best memories that you'll ever have in your whole entire life, straight up.
Well, because for everybody out there that's either playing right now or maybe is taking a break, listen, nobody quits paintball. Nobody.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just take long breaks. Take long breaks. And maybe you're on a break right now. But what brings us all back to this sport is that raw passion that we all have for the game, right? Like that passion, it's second to none. I mean, listen, I'm a dad first and foremost, but the passion in this game, and now that my sons are both in it, dude,
everything.
That's epic.
Check.
Yeah. That's
Check.
everything.
You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
But I mean, Tyler, you've had it before. Marcello, you've had it with your family. That's why we do this, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. That's right.
No doubt. Best family sport to me.
It really is.
It's I know all of us here have similar stories with the bond it created with our father, and now both your kids. And one day, if that day comes where I have my own kids, my little Groms, I'm sure they'll be playing paintball too.
Yeah.
Bet on it. It will happen.
Bet.
Inge, one more thing to talk to you about on my end before we let you go here. But, Aftermath, Sunday morning, lost to NRG at the last event.
Yep.
What do you think the team needs to do to get over the hump and win an event?
We needed to lose.
Yeah, fair enough.
We needed to get slapped in the mouth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think what happens is, we took fourth place. We lost to you guys. You went on to win, which big ups for that. Like that moment, the core of our team mainly has been together for over a year now.
Mm-hmm.
Our sixth event. Mesa was new. We had some new faces on the team in Florida, and we got fourth place, which is a blessing and a curse, right? It was great to be in top four. Still not as good as winning. Good job. But for us, we got there, and I think young teams think, well, if we just show up like we did in Florida, we're going to be fourth place, right? At worst, we don't even got to open our eyes and get out of bed. We're going to be fourth place. And it was good for us to go to Texas and get slapped, because it wasn't just one guy playing bad. It was everybody playing bad. Like, it wasn't like one of our guys was just on fire. Yeah. We all struggled.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Energy Elite beat us twice, to be quite honest. And, both, there were 1-2 point games or whatever. And we had multiple points. We were on their side of the field and just threw it away. But it was good, man. We needed that. And I mean, to be honest, Sunday morning, our scout was spot on. Everything they did, we knew what they were going to do. And we still couldn't stop it. So I think that was some of the youth and, the process. It takes 2 seasons to build good teams, in my opinion.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that.
I mean, unless you go spend $500,000 in salary on guys that have already played together, but you're still buying half an impact at that point, right?
Totally.
Like, it just takes time. And that's for the divisional teams too. You got to keep 75-80% of your core intact from season to season. Yeah, player or two is one thing. But if you have, 50% turnover, you're not going to ever have the same team as you would have. If you take a 50-50 team and keep them together for 2 seasons, you'll do much better by the end of the second season than you did your first season. Just, it's guaranteed.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
You build that cohesion, and that's what we needed, right? Like, we needed that, and we needed that long flight home. We've all been on that flight. I mean, Marcello, Texas, you guys didn't make Sunday.
Totally.
You need that, because either one, you're that divisional team that blames it on the ref, because of course it's the ref's fault, or you're Marcello and you look at your whole team and you're like, yo, are we going to take practice like it's serious? Are we going to show up to these events to win? Right. And I think sometimes you need the same with you, Tyler, right? Like, the Heat had some tough events last season where you guys didn't win or weren't top 4, and you have to go back to practice and take that high-powered finger and turn it back around on yourself.
Yeah, that's right. Be
That's
accountable.
my opinion,
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And we needed that. We needed to take a look, and Joe Barrett and Josh and everybody had to take a look inside. And I was super happy. I mean, immediately the next day, everybody's in the team chat talking about the responsibility they put on themselves. This wasn't, Marcello cheated me or this guy cheated. No, it was like, no, they beat us and we got beat, and Energy had beat us, and we have to get better than that.
Ownership.
So ownership. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, kind of hard not to have that on this team, right? It's demanded,
sure.
but it really is part of the process. And I cannot stress that enough to the younger teams out there. Dude, I was on the Bushwhackers the year before 7-Man came out with Ron Kilborn's team. We all love Ron. 5 events we did not make Sunday. 2 of the events we missed it in 10-man by 1 point, which back then there was 800 points possible per tournament. Right? We didn't make it Sunday one time in the amateur division. The next season, 7-man starts, and Ron Kilborn comes to us and goes, "We're going to go pro." I'm like, "Ron, you noticed last season we got our teeth kicked down our throat? We're going to go pro now? Now we got the same team, and, we go to Huntington Beach in the sand, and we get 4th place in the pro division." And it takes time, right? Sometimes if you can take the down days and turn them around and focus on that and improve on that, it will lead to better days. But if, you run from the bad days, you're going to have a long life of running, right?
Yeah, you got to embrace it. Embrace that hard times, because that's what's going to build you.
Embrace the suck.
Embrace it, man. Yeah.
It's like,
that's it, dude.
So I think, to answer your question and go straight at it, Marcello, we had to get slapped up a little bit, and it was okay. But if you're standing there was no yelling and screaming. Mm-hmm. There was no finger pointing. We knew what we did. We went back. Hopefully we fixed it. I mean, Marcello, you saw us this weekend. I think both days were pretty close to 50-50 back and forth.
Yeah, totally. No,
right.
you guys look sharp. Absolutely. I was talking about that before we got on the show, how good you guys looked.
So, hopefully we have. But another thing to be said, listen, we want to win the tournament, and so does Heat, and so does Dynasty, and so does all 20 teams in the pro division. But I will tell you one thing: win, lose, or draw, we're going to enjoy the journey, right? Mm-hmm. Like, we're going to go to Philadelphia, try not to get shot in the city, go outside the city, hit a Cracker Barrel up, hit a Wawa up, go have fun with our friends, and, like the saying says, do some hood rat shit with our friends.
There we go.
Shout out to Wawa one time.
Yeah, Wawa.
You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah.
But that's an important part that I think a lot of these younger teams too forget. There's so much stress on winning and money, right? Because it is expensive. But go do something fun. Go find something fun to do, whatever your fun is. But man, a baseball game, a concert, whatever. I'll tell you right now, my son Colin is always looking for when Slipknot or Lamb of God is playing, and any place there's a tournament, because I promise you, we will be making a pit stop for a heavy metal show anytime that there's one in town with us.
Yeah, that's
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But look for other things to do outside of paintball that you can afford to do, that you can have some fun, because those memories are super important. Mm-hmm. So for us on Aftermath, we're here to win 100%, and we will be very committed to the process. But also, we're going to go get some Cracker Barrel. We're going to have some fun, and we might even get into a car war food fight.
I didn't know Colin was a young rocker. Let's go.
He's into all kinds of concerts.
Dude, that's my man. I can't wait to see Colin soon. We're going to be out on the East Coast here shortly. And before I let you go, Mike, this is actually from our PTG World Discord chat room. Zinger565 was wondering your favorite pre-2010 marker or any old school trend you would like to see return, stylistically.
Well, I mean, you can't go wrong with sock hats, right? I know Mingo's been rocking one on on the Kings, but you definitely can't go wrong with that. I think one of the Damage guys had a bounce cap on, one of those neoprene flip hats that would bounce them off your forehead. Those were good. I mean, listen, pre-2010 guns, you got to put an asterisk by those, like we all know, because a lot of those guns that were really fun to shoot were nothing close to legal in today's standards.
Mm-hmm.
They were not.
Mhm.
They definitely were not.
So
There was
if
definitely
I
a
could have
lot
one of my
going on.
guns back, I'll take my red Shock Tech Timmy that Rennick got me when I got on Shock Tech and then Aftershock. If I could
Oh,
have
yeah.
that gun back, shooting 21 balls a second with some of that white shell evil, yeah,
Woo!
you ain't
Talk
making the
to
corner,
me.
bud.
Talk to me.
You ain't making.
I don't know.
think
I
we
don't know
all
how
want to
corners were
shoot a
getting
good
made.
Timmy.
Yeah. I don't know how they
And
were
with like
getting made.
with no bunkers on the field, right?
Yeah.
Like 28 pieces on the whole field and no
Yeah.
lane blocks.
Yeah.
Boys were getting roped, but I'd take that. But my first DM4, I think all those guns were fun. I think the autocockers were fun when everybody had an autococker, right? There's
Seriously.
nothing better than hearing that thing cycle and watching a ball go downrange and splash right around the edge of that hyperball tubing, going right over that snake beam and splashing off of somebody. I'll take any of them, right? Like if we go pre-2010, just take me back to pre-2010 for a season, because I probably would have had just as much fun doing it, right?
Yeah, man. The
Those were
best
some
times.
wild times.
The best times.
Yeah. What's
Yeah.
funny is there is something to be said about why players would make corners back then. I've realized I don't think a lot of the young professional players do well. And that's finding blind spots and running and shooting well. Some of these fields lately have kind of highlighted that a little bit, where there will be a side, like for example, on the Dorito side on this field, it was super hard to make that the Dorito one. But if you pull up off the gate and shoot at the back center and then go, or, kind of run out a little bit past one of the bunkers and stop in a blind zone and shoot and then dive into your spot, getting creative and being able to read the lane and actually put accurate paint back on the shooter is a huge bonus, a huge help in getting you into your spots. And I feel like that's kind of something that doesn't get utilized that much anymore.
Yeah.
By the new
because
players.
Also back then when X-Ball was really kicking off, we had that transition of all those 10-man guys that were very intelligent paintball players.
Right.
Like-
Yeah. Maybe they were finding ways to do that. I mean, you'll see Fedorov do it. You'll see, Mouse does it. The experienced attackers, right? They find ways to get them into the spots that are super shootable, and it's by going to certain blind zones or running and shooting effectively. And I think this field is going to expose a lot of players. We'll see. It's just my assumption.
Yep, we will
Hopefully
see.
it's not us that gets exposed, but a big.
Now you guys are past that. You guys aren't in that category. And again, we played you this weekend. You guys definitely know what you're doing out there.
Yeah, Mike, dude,
Let's
we
knock
can't.
on wood.
Yeah, we can't thank you
There you
enough for stopping by and hanging out with us. And we sending all our love to you and the fam. Hope you guys are doing great. And yeah, man, we can't wait to see you on the East Coast here in about a little over a week here.
Totally. Man, I always appreciate being on here with you guys. You two are always make me proud, man. Like I'm super stoked to have you guys as friends, as brothers, and just know that I'm always proud of you guys and what you're doing, and for everybody out here that supports these guys. You're two of the realest dudes that there's ever been. And if there's ever anything I can do for the show, for any of the fans out there through you guys, let me know, because I'm always here to help.
Hell yeah,
Damn,
just
Mike.
stopping by, man. The listeners absolutely love hearing your perspective, and you always keep it 100. So just
Totally. I appreciate all of our friends out there listening to us, man. Like you see me at an event, walk up, say what up, and introduce yourself.
Hell
I
yeah.
look forward to talking to everybody.
Let's go, baby.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mike.
Awesome, Edge. Thank you, brother.
All right, brothers. You guys have a good night, man. I'll see everybody in about a week.
Yes,
You
sir.
too, sir. Thank you.
All right.
Later, brother.
Peace.
Hingemeister.
The man, the myth.
The
Dude.
man, the myth, the OG.
There
dropping
he is.
knowledge, man. Just dropping straight knowledge. That's
nonstop. Yeah. Seriously.
Talks the talk, walks the walk.
Yes, he does. And it's in the pedigree, it's in the pedigree. With even just what he's done with Aftermath as of recent times, and the way that he's hardwiring these players to attack the field and to apply themselves, like he was saying, you got to really clock in and do the work. And I love the bit that he talked about with the player getting there a little bit early, or doing just the extra. The extra, it's free. It's free to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And it holds so much weight and is going to take you to those next levels that you can't even see and you might not even be able to fathom, but just doing that work, going the extra distance is always going to get you on that path to where you want to go. No matter what line of work you're in, paintball, business, doesn't matter. Your relationships, you got to really clock in and do the work.
You absolutely do. And it really translates into regular life, right? That's the way it is. You got to do the work. You got to be willing to do the work. You got to be willing to do the hard stuff. You got to be willing to go through the downs, and work at overcoming things if you want to have the success, if you want to reap the benefits, if you want the rewards, if you want what other people have, you got to figure out what they did to work so hard to get it. Things don't just come. They don't just come easy. They don't just come to you. You have got to go out and get it. So, Mike has treated Aftermath in that way. And I like, having Rob on as well about business. That's how business is, no bullshit. Here's the formula. This is the process. This is what we need to do. And this is what we're going to do, and that's that.
That's it. Absolutely, dude.
Well, my brother, it's been a nice little show here.
Yes, it
I
has.
didn't expect to talk to Mike for that long. We kind of had some stuff to discuss, I think, but
I love it.
I feel like
Perfect.
Yeah, I do too. I feel like we unpacked it all with Hinge.
Yep. And then I do want to, we have like maybe a couple Discord questions we can get into for the PTG fam.
Okay.
We'll just get to the really important ones. Like, what's your favorite pizza topping from Captain Shibby?
You can only choose one?
That's it. One forever.
Well, if you could only have one topping, does cheese count? Is cheese a topping?
I think you would have to go with cheese. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to go with cheese.
Yeah, that's the base. What's your favorite
so not
pizza?
A topping.
Yeah, what's your favorite? He said topping, but you would have to go with cheese. What are you going to have, a pizza with no cheese?
Yeah. Let's not consider that a topping. I don't know. This is tough, dude. Maybe bell peppers?
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. My favorite pizza is, I've got two. I love a Hawaiian pizza. Yes, I do.
Yep.
I love barbecue chicken pizza. And my favorite is the sausage and bell peppers and pepperoni, the little deluxe style,
Yep.
I don't know. That's tough. Just one topping, just one. I think bell peppers because I like the texture, it's like a little bit of the crunch with the.
I mean, if I had to stick with one forever, it's got to be pepperoni. You know what I mean?
I knew you were going pepperoni.
Standard issue.
I knew it.
Standard issue. And Mountain Mike's too. Take me back.
Mountain Mike's. Let's go. Oh, my brother.
That said, anchovies are bust. Woohoo! Oh boy. No way.
I'll go with bust, baby.
Yeah.
Anchovies. Goodness.
Yeah.
Not my thing on pizza, at least.
No, I'm with you on that, dude. They delivered an anchovy pizza to my house one time, and my kids were like, "What is that?"
Oh my gosh.
They were like, "This is our pizza."
All right, Jay Stu, how do you guys feel about the designated hitter? What's he talking about?
I have no clue. Designated hitter.
Oh, I thought maybe you did. I thought maybe.
No. That's like a baseball term, right?
Yeah, so maybe is he talking about for like one-on-ones? Like you have to pre-select your guy, like you.
I see. Yeah.
I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. Shout out to Jay Stu, always doing a lot in PTG world, and we have just the best community over there. So thank you to everybody who taps in and is a part of the Discord community. It's a lot of fun, and it's paintball 7 days a week. Everyone is in there just ripping it, talking about gear, news. We've actually got a new thread, the Breaking News channel, where we have a bunch of all the juice. We got a lot of great stuff going on in the Discord, so we're having fun in there.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, I think this has been a really good one. I'm excited to get out to Philly. I'm excited. We got practice this upcoming weekend with Revo and actually the Latin Saints. I'm going to be playing against the Latin Saints on the East Coast.
There we go.
Yeah, so we'll get a look at the squad going into the event, and then we'll tap in on another PTG episode next week and kind of go over all the details rolling into this tournament.
Well, there we go. Right on.
Yes, sir, baby.
Oh, yeah, brother. All right, PTG fam, thank you guys for tuning in. We will see you next week.
Yep, we'll see you soon.
All right.
Have fun. Peace.
All right, everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and hanging out with us. We really hope you guys were able to take away a lot of useful information from this episode. I think there were some very valuable kernels of knowledge, and just always a good time to sit down and talk with Mike and get to have Rob on the show. Really excited about that, but what an amazing episode. PTG fam, as always, thank you guys so much, and you know the drill. We will see you very, very soon.